Hello Booktube, hello friends, welcome to Lizziefaye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and in this video I'd like to share with you my adventures on my 18-day trip that I took from March 31st through April the 18th, and I went through 15 states and shopped for books at, well, I picked up books at 25 places. I probably shopped for books in a couple of other places where I didn't buy anything. Surprisingly, it's pretty rare if I leave empty-handed from a bookshop. One of the 25 places was my sister's house, though, where we stayed for a few nights, and she did send me home with a half a dozen books, and I took her some, of course, as well. And so I thought I would take you along with me to kind of recap my trip. I will also include not only the book shopping, but the other reasons for the trip and some of the souvenirs and things that I picked up along the way. Now, I didn't go alone. I went with my daughter, Emily. She is 21. She has autism and epilepsy. Some of you may have seen her in previous videos, but she, of course, does not speak. She is nonverbal, at least at this point in her life. She has been verbal in the past. And I've been kind of joking with people that she's a really good traveling companion because she doesn't argue with me when I want to stop or where I want to go. And she pokes me sometimes, which helps keep me awake. So she was a real trooper through the whole thing. And we had a great time. My husband didn't go. He stayed home and worked and took care of all the animals. But my daughter, Katie, was one of the reasons for the trip because her and her color guard team went to Dayton, Ohio to compete in the WGI, or World Guard International competition, and came in 5th place in their class for the whole thing. And so they did fantastic, and we were really thrilled with how they did, and it was a great trip. So I'm going to break this into several segments because I did shoot a little bit of footage, not as much, really. I didn't shoot any footage at all in the beginning because we just had to book it to get to my family reunion, which was the first leg of the trip. That was in the Texas Panhandle. I've been to it before. I've mentioned it before, and I really needed to have this family directory that I've been talking about done and duplicated in time to take to the reunion, because I had been the past 2 years talking about doing it. People had already prepaid, pre-ordered, and I needed to get it done this year. Well, I did get it done, but I got it done about a week later than I needed to do to get it to the printer in time for them to have ample time to copy it. And our local print shop was still planning to work with me. They took it. They said, we'll do what we can. And no sooner had I dropped it off than their printer went down. And it's a small shop. They just have one main printer, and there was nothing they could do. I had a little window of time where I thought maybe, if they can get it fixed in time, then I could still take at least a few copies. But no, I could not take anything with me. So I wasn't going to go at first. I was just crying, and I was so disappointed. And then I thought, okay, if I don't go to the reunion, then the rest of my trip is a bust. I was really going to go to Ohio because I was already going to be out in the world, and it just made sense to make a big round trip of the whole thing. And I was looking forward to the trip. I was going to see other family and friends and everything, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go anyway. But by the time we left, I had barely enough time to get there in time for any of the reunion. So one of the things that set me back was that I went back to the print shop and I picked up my originals. I came home and I made one duplicate because my originals were, that had the photos actually stuck to it. It wasn't like, I laughed at, I got quotes at a couple of print shops, and both of them asked me, so, what format is your file going to be in when you send it? And I was like, oh, that's so funny that you think I'm advanced enough technologically to send you an e-file. I'm going to bring you a stack of paper that you can put in your printer. So the second guy, which is who I ended up going with, he's like, well, go ahead and make your copies so that you don't give me actual photographs. Have them in photo ready copies, but you know, nothing that's going to get stuck in the machine. So I did that. So anyway, I had given him both just as a backup in case, you know, in case one of them got eaten by the machine or something like that. So I went back and picked up my originals and made a back front copy and just put it in a notebook so that I could take something to the reunion to show people. Let me tell you, it worked out completely for the best because there were a couple of errors that were found. And thankfully, I didn't take the copy with my actual photos on it because it did get wet. It was sitting on the table at the reunion. Water got spilled. My own fault. And so anyway, it worked out great because there were a couple of people that wanted to add things and some different things that need to be polished and changed. Because I was in such a hurry, I was just going to let that go. But now I can get back to it and correct the mistakes and make it wonderful, make it great. Not that it's already not wonderful, because I think it is. So I want to just show you, I don't want to give, you know, this is my family's personal information, and I told them I was not going to have any of this online, so technically I can't really show you the book, but it's 68 pages back and front, and I'll just kind of flip through. It's got family tree charts, it's got photos, it's got ancestor charts, birthday calendar, all of that. So it is a gift for my family, and it was a labor of love because I'm not going to be getting, you know, I'm not making any money from it, just recouping my costs. And so I'm glad that it's, for all intents and purposes, it's done, but I still have to go back in and make a few changes and then hopefully get it back to the print shop by the end of the month so that we can get it duplicated and then shipped out to all of the family members. There's another reunion in June, but I really don't think I'm going to be up to going again in June because that's not that long from now, and it was a pretty big trip. So I need to get on with the business of life here in Florida and get some other things done, get back to my eBay store. I had to put the store on hold, and people were still able to purchase things. They just, you know, saw when they bought it that it wouldn't get shipped until after we were back. So I had several orders to ship when I got back, and I got those done, helped finish up our taxes and everything on the 18th because we got home in the very early hours of the 18th. And so, anyway, I am rambling, and let me just tell you about my trip. So I'll tell you about the first leg of it, and then as I come to footage where I have shot a little bit of footage, then I will insert that, and then if there's any play-by-play needed, then I'll, come back in between and show you the books I got and tell you a little bit about each of the stops. So we left Florida about 5:30 p.m. Well, I didn't leave Florida till after that. We left our home area after running errands and all of that. We finally were on the road by about 5:30 p.m. on March 31st. And we didn't stop until we made a couple of bathroom breaks in Florida. Usually I'm getting sleepy by that time. And God was with us because I was just able to, stop very little as needed and power on through the rest of the night. But at 4:30 in the morning, we did stop at Buc-ee's on I-10 in Alabama, and I had gotten one of these shirts before. I love this one, so I got one for myself. Alabama. It says the heart of the South. So I wanted to get one of these for myself, and then I was hoping to maybe go to a couple of other Buc-ee's on the trip. It turned out we didn't go to another one until we were back in Florida, the one at St. Augustine, because I'd never been to that one. But there was one in Kentucky, and I was telling Katie on the phone when we were still on the road, I was like, yeah, I saw the sign that there was one in Kentucky somewhere, and I wanted to try to get you a shirt. She's like, well, we went to that one on their way back, I think. But she was disappointed because, like, this one says Alabama. Let me show you the right side. She was hoping that the Kentucky one would say Kenbucky Tucky, but she said it didn't. It said Kentucky Bucky or something like that. I haven't seen the shirt yet, but anyway, so Buc-ee's, if anybody out there from Buc-ee's is watching, make a Kenbucky Tucky shirt. That would only make sense. So anyway, we enjoyed that leg of our trip, but it was the most grueling part of our trip because we had to make a fast trip through the panhandle of Alabama, the panhandle of Mississippi, all through Louisiana and on into Texas, and arrive there by the evening of the next day. So we missed our auction. We missed really the dinner and everything. My sister was there, so she saved us plates and all of that. So we got to eat when we got there, but we had missed the festivities. But we did get to see quite a few family, and several of them, took a look at the book and found the mistakes and things like that. So it was great. And then the next morning, I went to breakfast with some of the relatives, and not everybody was there the next morning. It was mostly kind of a cleanup day, but I got to see all the people who were there cleaning up, got to help with that a little bit. Got to help with that. And went to breakfast with my aunt and several people. And then I ended up spending the night with my aunt. She has a big ranch out in the Texas Panhandle. And the most interesting thing about my aunt's home, I had never been there before. She has the biggest collection of Frankoma pottery probably that exists in a personal collection. It is phenomenal. Now, my parents collected Frankoma pottery, and I don't know if you're familiar with what that is. Let me pause this, and I'll go get a piece and just show you really quick, because I don't want to show you pictures from my aunt's house. I didn't ask her permission. I did take some pictures, but I don't want to show you pictures from her house just because I didn't ask permission. But hang on a second. So Frankoma Pottery is a pottery company that's based in Oklahoma. I'm not sure the town, but my parents went to the factory. In fact, my aunt was telling me that a lot of the collection that my parents got, they would go to the factory and they would buy seconds that they could get at a really good price. Most of what they have, though, is really nice and beautiful. So my aunt collects mostly the green pottery, and it does come in a couple of different colors. Well, and there are other vases and things that come in brighter colors, but this is the wagon wheel pattern. This is the pattern that my parents collected for the most part, and my aunt has a lot of the green in all the pieces. So I just wanted to kind of show you an example of what this looks like. She has purchased a lot of hers on eBay, as well as she's collected a lot of it from the time she first got married and, on through the years. But I sometimes hear eBay resellers talk about, always look for Frankoma. You can get a good price for that. And it's true. Some pieces are definitely more valuable than others, but I really wanted my mom's collection, and so I have most of it. We did give my aunt a piece from her sister's house, and then my sister has a piece, I think, but I have most of it, and I really enjoy having it. So, we spent the night at my aunt's house, and then we came, and by we, I mean Emily and myself. We made a couple of other stops at the home of other family members who had not been at the reunion, but who had been very helpful in giving me photos and information for the family directory. So I wanted them to see the book and see if there were any changes they wanted to make or any additions and everything like that. So we did get to see some other family members on the way to North Dallas, where I stayed. We stayed the next night with my nephew. Him and his wife and their two delightful children live in North Dallas, and we really enjoyed spending the night with them and just getting to know their kids better. They had been to Disney, and we met up with them and saw them last December. So even the kids, they're really little, but they're like, didn't we see you at Disney World? I was like, yes, you sure did. And that was a lot of fun to get better acquainted with their kids. They're just like 3 and 5, or 3 and 5, almost 6. So they're just at such a fun age. So that next day, then, I started my adventures in book shopping because I had not really had any opportunities. That whole first leg of my trip was about family. It was about reunion. It was about having people look at the book. And so once that part was over, then it was time to get with the business of not only seeing other family, which we did see some other family along the way, but I really wanted to do some book shopping while I was, while we were on our travels. So my nephew lives very near Denton, Texas, and there is a fantastic shop there. It's called Recycled Books and CDs, and I'll try to find a picture of it here. I had been there before. Incidentally, there is a booktuber that lives in that area, Janie, the bookworm's buddy, and I did text her while I was there. I was like, I thought about you, we're in your area, and this is just a huge store. I think there's 3 or 4 levels. I think the main level is kind of a split level, and then there's a basement, and there's a loft area, and we spent a good amount of time there and got several books. So let me go get the books that we got there and show you. Then we'll just keep moving on through the trip, and I'll show you the books as we come to them. Now, okay, before I get too much farther into this video, I should kind of give you a summary sort of what I was looking for and what I ended up finding as far as book shopping goes. Because a lot of times, like at a library sale or a thrift store or a smaller bookshop, I might have time to look at everything. But a lot of times, I go into like a large bookstore and I might kind of browse the categories, but, I don't have the luxury of spending all day looking at everything, so I do have to kind of narrow things down. And a lot of times people will ask you when you first come in, can I help you find something? So the 2 things that I always tried to remember at every place that asked me that question or that I went into was, do they have any misread books? And are there any books from the Martha, Charlotte, and Caroline years, or I would say Little House books that are not written by Laura Ingalls Wilder? Of course, I have all of the Roger Lee McBride Rose years, but and I think I have all of the Caroline years, but there were still some of the Martha and Charlotte years that I am missing. And if I found the Caroline years at a good deal, or even the Rose years at a good deal, I'm still trying to help my co-hosts from the Little House Readathon with their collections. So, if the price is right, I would still go ahead and get it, especially if it was any of the ones that are super hard to find. So those are the 2 big categories. And then also I was looking for the canine romances, which are the love-inspired suspense. There are several canine series, and I've been listening to a lot of these on audio, and I've been collecting most of them in print, and I always like to look for those. And cozy mysteries and Christian fiction. So those are kind of my big categories. I also would take a glance through all the middle grade books and the YA books and things like that, and just sort of get a quick glance at those, and also some of the other romances and things like that. So there's lots of categories that I like to look at, and I'm happy to say that I did find a couple of books by Miss Reed. One I already had, but I found a different edition that I did buy, and then another one that I was most excited to find because it's the next one I need to be reading this month for the Follow Us to Fair Acre read-along. So I was super happy to find it. I paid a little more for it than I would have any of the other books, but it's been super hard to find, and I was happy to find it at all. Then I did find quite a few of the canine romances, the love-inspired suspense, and I found several of the Little House books, the Martha, Charlotte, and Caroline years. I was super excited. I found some even brand new on a shelf at a new/used bookstore that was for children, and they had some, and I was really thrilled to find those. So let me just start now, and I'll just kind of go in order. I did get several of these canine romances at several different places. Some of them have good detailed receipts. Some I just don't remember, and it doesn't really matter where I got them, and it doesn't really matter, how many I got, or even, what I paid for them in the long run. I didn't pay more than like $3.50, I think, for any of them. Probably not even more than $3. And I was excited to find them because the older ones are getting really hard to find as well. Okay, so the first place I went, I think I misstated their name a little bit. It is in Denton, Texas, and it's called Recycled Books books, records, and CDs. That's it. I just want to say books, movies, and CDs. Recycled books, records, and CDs. And I didn't get any records or CDs, but I did get some books. This was the place where I found the most cozy mysteries that I purchased. I did look for some other hard-to-find cozy mysteries in other places, and I only found a couple of other cozy mysteries in other places that I picked up. I could not find any of the other ones that I was specifically looking for, and even these were not some that were at the top of my list, but I noticed that they had them, and I think these are pretty hard to find as well. So one of the series I've been collecting that I don't know if it's really considered cozy, I have not started reading them. It's a, I think, 10 or 12 book series, and I have only books 7 through 10 or 11, and I found book 1. It is the series is by Charlotte McLeod. It's the Killing and Bittersong series. I think it might be British, but I found book 1, The Family Vault, and see, it doesn't look super cozy, but I started picking these up because a couple of the other covers in some of the later books looked really intriguing. There was one with an old car and stuff like that, so I usually just recognize them when I see them, and like I said, though, I didn't have anything earlier than book 7. And then I also found book 4, The Bilbao, I guess that's how you say that, The Bilbao Looking Glass. So I'll still be looking for the others, but meanwhile, if I have a chance to go ahead and I might add this series to my TBR jar or something so that I can maybe get this first book read and even see if it's a series I like and if I want to keep, you know, actively searching out the other books, or if it's, you know, a series I would just lot up and put in my eBay store. Anyway, I did find these. And then another series that, again, I haven't started reading this, and I have a whole complete series by this author that I have not started reading. It's the, oh goodness, Molly something. No, is that right? It's a series that's got like Just the Facts, Ma'am. It's got a lot of PTA stuff and all of that, but the series is named after the person, not the subject matter. But anyway, the author is Leslie O'Kane. She has another series that is the Allie Babcock mysteries, and they're pet related. I had book 3, and now I have books 1 and 2. I believe this is book 1, Play Dead, and then book 2, Rough Way to Go. So yay, now I have the first 3 of those and can add those into my reading list or TBR jar or whatever. I've got another cozy mystery here that I honestly can't remember where I got, so I'll go ahead and show it to you now. And I should have looked to see what number this was, but I have 1 or 2 others from this decoupage mystery series. I think I have book 1. It's by Lucy Lawrence. I don't know where this falls in the series. Let me just look real quick and see. This might be the second one because it looks like the first one is called Stuck on Murder, and this one is Cut to the Corpse. So I went ahead and picked that up, and you know, whether I got it at the same store or at a thrift store, I don't know, but wherever I got it, it would have been inexpensive enough that I thought, okay, I'm not even going to look it up. I know it's one I don't have, and I'll just grab it. Then at the recycled books, records, and CDs store, I know I picked up, they didn't have a lot of these, but they had kind of a clearance cart where they had some category romances. They said they don't really carry them, but you know, I guess sometimes people bring them in, and so they just kind of put them over here on a cart for $1 or $1 or $2. And I have these 3 that I may have gotten there, but I thought that there was a sticker. Maybe I already pulled the stickers off. I don't know. I should have left them on. Anyway, these are from the Canine Search and Rescue series, which is the canine series from, okay. So these canine romances, usually there's 1 series per year, but they started this series in 2021, and it is still being written and added to in 2023. So, for instance, this one came out in March of 2021. It's called Mountain Survival by Christy Barrett. And then this one came out in February of 2022. It's called Following the Trail by Lynette Eason. Now, this is not all in the series. There's others in between. And then this one came out in January of 2023, Wilderness Hunt by Lisa Phillips. So, it's a bigger series. There's probably 10 or more in the series by now. And it has stretched out over a few years. So then next I went to a Half Price Books. it looks like there's maybe like 20 locations of half-price books in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I went to 2 of them. I went to one in Frisco, Texas, and I only bought 1 book there. I got Dangerous Mountain Rescue. It is also from the Canine Search and Rescue series by Christy Barrett, and that was all I could find there. I looked in all my categories, and that was just all I could find. But that didn't stop me from going to another one. I found another half-price books in Richardson, Texas, and I bought 7 books there. However, when I bought Dangerous Mountain Rescue at the first half-price books, I neglected to check it off my list. You would think that 2 hours earlier I would remember what book I bought. But no, because one of the 7 books I bought at the next half-price books was the same book. But anyway, it's fine. I'll probably put it in my eBay store, or I'll wait until I get some other duplicates. I may have a couple of other canine duplicates now as it is. Not even very long ago, I had some duplicates of some of the, they were all from different canine series, but I lotted them all up. I had like 5 different books, and I listed them on eBay, and they sold really quickly. So I can easily recoup my money on that. But then the other books I got at the half-price books in, I believe it was Richardson, Texas. And these are in no certain order. They are from different series. Well, there's 2 from the Alaska Canine Unit, and I think I did finish off and I have now got all of the Alaska Canine books. Yukon Justice by Dana Mentink. And then Tracking Stolen Secrets by Laura Scott. And these are not necessarily in the right order. They all end with a Christmas book. And it usually says in the title what series they're from. And this one doesn't. But this is from one of the series. It's called Christmas Canine Protectors. And I'm not sure what series that's from. And then from the Canine Search and Rescue series, Trailing a Killer. This one's by Carol J. Post. And then this is one of the older series. And I think I did accidentally pick up a duplicate of this one later on in the trip. Again, because I forgot to check them off my list. This is from the True Blue Canine Unit, Brooklyn. And it's Cold Case Pursuit by Dana Mentink. So if you read the prices, this one was $3.49. It's a little bit older. This one, they must have had multiples of this, because this one had been marked down to $1. It was on clearance. Here's another one of these was $3.49, and then the newer ones were $3.99. Oh, so I did pay $3.99 for one. Oh, and then I did get one book that was not a canine romance at a half-price books. This is where I found one of the misread books that I bought on this trip. This is The Howards of Caxley, and I have this book already. I've already read it, I believe, or maybe I've read its. This is book 2 in the Caxley Chronicles. I've read book 1. I'm not sure yet, actually, if I've read this one or not. But this is the Penguin edition, and at first, I have another Penguin edition of one of the Fairacre books, and at first, I didn't really want it. I didn't really want this weird size and all of that, because everything else is either hardcover or trade paperback, but I really liked it. After I read it, it's got some extra resources, and it's got a list of all the misread books in it, and this has the same, and I like that. So I decided just to go ahead and pick this up, because I really enjoyed the other Penguin edition that I had, or that I have. So, it was $1.99. Totally worth $1.99 to have it on my shelf, and I'm glad that I got it. Okay, so I'm gonna pause this. I've got to actually charge my phone a little bit, and then I'll come back and let you know what I did next, which was pretty cool on this day in the Dallas area. Okay, I'm back. Now it's actually early evening. I'm losing my light. It's overcast. I had planned to go ahead and film most of this video today, but I forgot about, I had a dentist appointment, and I thought it had been rescheduled, but no, it was today, and a couple of other things came up, so I may not get all this filmed today, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and at least film a couple of segments and just go ahead and let you know what I did for the next leg of my journey. So on the same day that I was in the Dallas area shopping at and Recycled Books in Denton and Half Price Books, I also went to Garland, Texas to the library where my fellow booktuber Emily Sears works. Emily had a booktube channel for several years. She co-hosted March Mystery Madness several years. She's not currently making videos, but her channel is The Redhead is Reading, and I want you to go and check out her channel. She has some really great recent reads videos, and she's super intelligent. She, like I said, is a librarian, and has some just very thought-provoking discussions about the books that she read. So I loved chatting with her, visiting with her. I loved seeing the library where she works. I timed it so that I would get there at her lunch break, which was really a dinner break. So we went and ate dinner together and had a really nice time. So I want to show you a picture here. It's not great of me, but anyway, we did get one of her coworkers, or maybe her boss, that took the picture for us, and I need to post that on Instagram. So I have been privileged to meet one booktuber each year for the past this year and the past 2 years. Apparently, that's all I can squeeze in, is one booktuber per year. But I did meet a reselling YouTuber later in the trip. I've met several. But this year I met Emily Sears. Last year, in case you recall my video vlog, I met Storm from Storm Reads in Kansas. And then the year before that, I met my friend Beth, Elizabeth Tyree, from the channel Soul Stained Ink in the Texas Panhandle. So anyway, next year I hope to meet someone else. And you know, if you live on my route anywhere and you want to get together on my trip next year, please let me know. So anyway, I had fun meeting Emily. That was great. And then it was time to head north to Southeast Oklahoma. And I spent one night, actually 2 nights and a day there. I went to my brother's home. He's currently a full-time RVer with his new wife, Regina, and they are traveling. They were in Arizona at the time I was in Oklahoma, but his stepson and his family are living there and taking care of the cattle and things like that. So him and his wife have 2 precious boys who are 2 and 4, and I really loved getting to know them better, and it was super fun. So thank you for letting me stay there, and I really enjoyed being there, and thank you for your hospitality. So during the day in between the 2 nights that I spent at their house, I traveled to my hometown, which is Bennington, Oklahoma. It's just 25 to 30 minutes away from where I was staying. And I spent the day visiting some relatives, friends. I went to all the cemeteries and just had a wonderful day. It was a Wednesday, so I went to church that evening, saw a few old church friends, and it was a fantastic day. I really enjoyed that day in my hometown. There was a couple of sad notes. One of the friends that I visited is probably not going to be with us much longer, and it is a man who's in his 90s and had a he was a very important part of my life, and still is a very important part of my life. And I got to see him again, and I was thankful for that. And also, I got to visit my childhood home. The current owners were not there, but I talked to them on the phone. They allowed me to go in and see what they've done with the place and everything. And the sad thing, though, is that my actual childhood home, in my childhood home, there was a fire a few months ago, and it is currently being torn down. They have already built a new house that is behind it, and it's going to be fantastic. But my actual home is not much longer going to be here. So, you know, things come and go, wood rots, wood burns, and it's just one of those things. So that was a little sad, but I was glad that I got to go in and walk through one more time. It's being gutted right now, and he's been salvaging some things out of it that he could reuse in other rental properties and things like that. So I really appreciated the owner letting me go through there. Again, I'm not going to show you pictures because I don't own it anymore, and I didn't ask permission to show you any pictures, but I was really happy that I got to go there one more time. So then the next morning, I was still in my hometown area, and I decided to do a little bit more shopping. Well, actually, before heading down to my hometown of Bennington, I did go to the thrift store in Durant, and I want to show you a picture of it. I can't remember the title of it now, but it should say it in the picture, or I'll put it right here. But it's in this building that used to be the factory or the place of business for the Calvert dairy products. And I'm not sure how much of their actual processing they did there, or if it was just where they had their offices. I'm not really sure. But the old sign is still there, the Calvert sign. And I don't know how wide of a reach Calvert dairy products had, but I took some pictures of this old sign because I just think it's really cool, and I wanted to, to remember it in case the next time I go, it's taken down. And that got me to thinking I should take some pictures of some other old landmarks and things. So I also went down 3rd Street in Durant, Oklahoma, and stopped and took a picture of the sign for the Plaza Theater. Now, this hasn't been a working theater in many years. It did sort of, I think it was it was probably on its latter days when I saw Star Wars there in 1977. And I saw Star Wars 3 times in the theater, and I think at least twice was there. And then I saw it another time at another theater. But anyway, this is where I first saw Star Wars A New Hope. And I just wanted to remember that. So the sign is still there. I have no idea what's inside the building at all, but I just wanted to take a picture of the sign. And I took a couple of other pictures of signs and things in other places that were just really cool, but those were the 2 landmark signs in my home county where I grew up that I wanted to remember. So we also went to, besides the thrift store, there is a Christian bookstore there in Durant, and I bought a couple of things. I had meant to bring this copy of More Than a Carpenter for a friend of mine. This is by Josh McDowell, actually one of my distant cousins. And, well, we're 3rd cousins. Some people call that distant, but we're very close. And I wanted her to have this book, but I forgot to take it. So I went to the Christian bookstore, and I found a used copy of it. It was a different edition, but, it would do in a pinch, and so I was able to give that to her. And then while I was there, I think that's the only book I got. I've got another book that I'm thinking maybe I got there, but I'm not absolutely sure, so I'll show you that book later on. But they also had a few gift-type items, and I saw this bowl there, and I still really haven't decided whether I'm going to give this to my husband or my daughter. They're both vegan, and I thought this was a beautiful bowl. My husband makes guacamole, and it says guacamole in it. He makes fresh guacamole like on a weekly basis, and this is just a beautiful bowl. And so I thought, I might give this to him. I would maybe give it to my daughter, but I got her some other stuff, which I've already given her. And I don't think this really goes with her color scheme in her apartment. And, she kind of has her own vision of how everything should be in her apartment. So I'll probably end up giving this to my husband. And so then after we went to, so then we went to the thrift store. I didn't show you what we got. They had books, paperback books, mass market paperbacks for $1. Now, I said to myself, I'm probably not going to buy any books on this trip to resell. But, and that's mainly because I was shopping at used bookstores, and the prices there are, those are consumer prices. They're not really resale prices. Where I get my books to resell are library book sales and things like that, where I can fill a bag for $1 to $5, things like that. But they had several books for $1, and I still wasn't going to get anything, but then I saw a few romances, and I just decided to go ahead and pick them up. So I got 5 books by Betty Neals. Now, I have never met a Betty Neals book that I couldn't sell. She sells great on eBay, especially in lots, like about this size. So I will probably just put all of these together. Although I have had these collector editions before that I just sold together in one lot. So I may hang on to this one and see if I can find any more that would go with it, because it's kind of separate thing. But anyway, the Betty Neal's books I bought, 3 for a wedding, and that's in really good shape. Then I got The Bachelor's Wedding. I've not read any Betty Neal's books, but I do have a couple set aside for myself, but I have sold several lots of Betty Neal's books. Love Can Wait, and Not Once But Twice, and then Marrying Mary. I thought I had the other one in my hand, but this is a Debbie Macomber book that I picked up. I also like to pick up vintage Debbie Macomber. This one is a little bit country, and I have read this one. I will probably lot this up with some other Debbie Macomber books that I have, and add those to my eBay store as well. Then I also found a Grace Livingston Hill book. I'm actually not for sure that I got this there, but I'm going to go ahead and show it to you now because I wasn't planning to pick up any Grace Livingston Hill books either. But wherever I found this, it was by itself without any of its companions. And I thought, you know what? I've got plenty of other Grace Livingston Hill books that I am planning to lot up and sell, as well as keep. I have a whole collection of Grace Livingston Hill. So I thought I would just go ahead and grab this. So I'm pretty sure I didn't pay more than $1/4 for it. This is Tomorrow About This Time. And then I also got a magazine. I thought I had already given this to Katie, and I was right. I had found another copy of this. This one's a little bit beat up, but this is the Harry Styles Better Homes and Garden edition where he is interviewed. And I found it somewhere else not long after it came out, maybe at our library, and picked it up probably also for $1/4. And Katie's like, wow, I've seen these. These are, these are going for a lot more money than what you paid. So anyway, I'm not sure what I'll do with this one. Maybe resell it, or if she wants a second copy, I'll give it to her. But she said that she did already have it. And also then at the thrift store, I believe that I picked this one up there. And the only reason I picked it up is because it was so cheap. This is By Hook or By Crook by Betty Hechtman. I'm not sure now what number this is, but I think this is one of the first 4. And for goodness sakes, this one is signed by the author. Wow. I am going to carefully remove that, and I am going to sell this one. Oh my goodness, I didn't even notice that. Wow, you want to see? I don't think that's a stamp either. I'm not sure, but yay, how exciting. What a fun find. I've read this, and I'm sort of collecting them, but I'm listening to them on audio. So if I see them at a good price, I'll get them. But it's not like I have to have the physical book to read it, because I can. I think I can get all of them on audio. Okay, so that is what I got in Durant on that first day. Then the next day, I came back through Durant and we went to Goodwill because Emily and I needed some jackets, and I don't know why we didn't think to get jackets at the thrift store the first day. I was planning to shop either at Goodwill and go back to the thrift store. We were going to look wherever we could because the people we were staying with had loaned us jackets to go out to Bennington that first day, but they needed them back. So I knew we needed to get some jackets if we were going to continue to go farther north to Ohio. So we did go to Goodwill, and Emily and I both found just zip-up hoodies, just jersey knit zip-up hoodies that we got at a fairly inexpensive price. And while we were there, we did a little bit of shopping. I think I picked up 1 or 2 books and a couple of items. So anyway, I will, I've got to regroup and put these away and get the other stuff. And it's getting so dark, I may just wait and film my next clip tomorrow morning. So anyway, I will see you in a bit. Hello, I'm back. It is a couple of days later, and I did not get a chance to film any the last couple of days. I was just thinking back when I was on Tiffany's live stream, Killing Time with Cozy's live stream this past Sunday, when she asked us what we had coming up. I remember saying that I was going to film on Wednesday, and then I also remember saying I was going to go to a big book sale on Tuesday, but that's also my work day. And if y'all are keeping up with that, it made no sense what I said because I realized after I said it that I had switched my work days. So I normally do work at the bookstore on Tuesdays. And this particular week, though, I did go to a big giant book sale, library book sale in Gainesville, Florida on Tuesday, and I worked on Wednesday instead. So now it's Thursday. I did that other filming on Monday, and now it's Thursday, and I want to get this video done and get it put together and move on to many other projects that I need to do. So thank you for sticking with me this far. I know I'm rambly, and I apologize for that. So anyway, in my journey, I was, I think where we left off, I was in Oklahoma. And so the second morning in Oklahoma, I had really wanted to go to this fairly new bookstore that's in Durant, Oklahoma. I had not been to it before. Up to that point, the closest used bookstore that I knew about had been in Denison, Texas. Well, it's now gone. And thankfully, though, there is this really cute, nice little bookstore in downtown Durant, Oklahoma. And it didn't open until 11. And I kind of needed to be on the road before then, but I was determined to wait. So because Emily and I needed jackets, there were two other thrift stores. There's a Goodwill, and then there was the thrift store we had been to the previous day. And at that point, we'd kind of forgotten that we needed jackets. We should have brought some from home. We do have jackets here in Florida. I just didn't think about it. We were in a rush to leave. I didn't think about it, and realized after we got, into our journey that we were going to need some kind of sweaters or jackets or something. So anyway, since we had been to the thrift store the previous day and had only done book shopping, I thought, well, we can go back there if we need to, but let's check out the Goodwill first, see what they have. And then if they don't have any jackets, we can always go back to the other thrift store. Well, they did. We bought some simple zip up hoodies, and that was fine. And I did get, I was thinking that I got one book there, but I might have not. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, so the book I got there at the Goodwill that morning, I paid $1.99 for this, and it is from the Crochet Mysteries by Betty Hechtman. I already showed you a one that I got, I guess, at the other thrift store, so I went ahead and picked this one up. This is If Hooks Could Kill, and I should have looked to see what number this was, but based on the list here, it is possibly number 9. So, If Hooks Could Kill, I have not gotten to this one yet. I'm not sure where I am in listening to this series. And as I said earlier, I'm not really collecting these because I think I can get all of them on audio. But if I see them at a good price, then I'll go ahead and grab them. I also picked this up. This was 99 cents. It's just a cute little citrus pot holder. It looks so Florida-like that I wanted to come back and bring it to my own kitchen. My own kitchen color is green, so this will go nicely in my kitchen. And then Emily also bought, well, she paid for her own jacket, and she found a movie that she wanted, Lord of the Beans, VeggieTales. I did not think she had this. And then literally minutes ago, she came in here, I was getting ready to film, she came in here wanting a new movie, and we went back in her room, and I said, well, pick one off the shelf. She picked up Lord of the Beans. She did already have a copy. So this one is actually still sealed. I might just sell this one. I don't know. She paid for this one herself, but I paid for some others, so it all comes out in the wash, as they say. And since this one is still sealed, we might see if this would be something we could add to our eBay store. So she also got a pair of leggings, which ended up being too small, and a jacket. And then I got the pot holder and a book. And I feel like I got something else, but I don't see it here. Anyway, so then we did go to Sundrop Books. If I can find a little picture of it, I will. It's just in the old downtown, historic downtown Durant. And I was super excited because I got 3 of the Little House books there. And I paid $4 for 2 of them and $5 for the other one. $4 each. So I got one of each, actually. One of the Caroline Years, Little Clearing in the Woods. I knew that I had this one, but I don't think, I'm not sure if my other co-hosts from the Little House Readathon have that one or not. I'm pretty sure for me to get it, probably at least one of them doesn't have it because we have a list, but it doesn't matter. They're so hard to find. I wasn't going to pass it up, especially for that price. I also picked up On Tide Mill Lane. This is of the Charlotte Years, and I think this is book 2 or 3, and I did not have this at the time I picked it up. And then I think I did have a copy of this one, but I think it's hardcover, and I thought I may as well just get all of them to match. The Far Side of the Lock, and this is one of the Martha Years. This is either book 1 or 2 of the Martha Years, I believe. So I was super excited to find those. So we eventually left Durant probably sometime around noon, and then the first stop was a place I had heard about from one of my mom's cousins at the reunion, and that is Reba's Place. It is a fairly new restaurant that Reba McEntire has opened up in Atoka, Oklahoma, which is just maybe about an hour from where I grew up. And so we stopped there. I'll show you a couple of pictures. This is what the outside of the building looks like. She did not build a brand new building. She took one of the old buildings in downtown Atoka and renovated it, and inside it is beautiful. I took a couple of pictures of some of her costumes that are in the lobby on display. We did not take time to eat there. It probably would have been a long wait because it's new. It was, it's very popular, and there was quite a wait time for it. But it was kind of fun to stop in there. And I don't know, I'm sure I've told you guys the story that I have seen Reba sing in concert locally when she was probably maybe still in high school or just out of high school. I saw her and her brother and sister perform in Atoka at a cattleman's banquet, and then later on she came and sang for us at a district 4-H meeting, like a 4-H conference, and did meet and greets and autographs for us who were there. And so because she grew up in the area, she has a heart for the youth of that area. And so it was really neat to get to meet her. And of course, I've not seen her in person since she's been hugely famous, but still, it was a lot of fun to stop at Reba's Place. So then we moved on up the road and stopped in McAlester, Oklahoma. We needed to make a Brahms stop. We had not been to a Brahms yet on the trip, and if you don't know, that is an ice cream and dairy store that is headquartered in Oklahoma. It does reach out into some of the surrounding states, but you find them all over Oklahoma, and they are fantastic. So we needed to stop for ice cream, and I did a quick search. I did not find any used bookstores there, but I did find a Goodwill. So we went in there, and I found a couple of books, and Emily found a couple of movies that were impulse buys right near the checkout. So Emily got The Wonderful World of Autotainment. It's a VeggieTales movie. I don't think she has this one. I don't think I've ever watched it. I'm not sure if she has this one or not. But anyway, this is The Wonderful World of Haas. It is the story of a prodigal son. So she got both of those. I paid for them. And, that's why I don't mind switching them out and selling the other one and giving her these. And then I found a Lori Copeland book that I did not have. This is Christian fiction, and I don't think this is part of a series. It was 99 cents, which is pretty good for a Goodwill. A lot of times books are higher at Goodwill. A Man's Heart, and it's a Christian cowboy romance, so I'm all about that. And then I picked this up because I thought this would just be entertaining to look at, and then I will probably add it to my eBay store. This is the collector's edition of People Magazine, 30th anniversary edition of The Bold and the Beautiful. So this was published in 2017, which means The Bold and the Beautiful first aired in 1987-ish. I'm not great with math, but somewhere around there. I was already finishing up college at that point, but I've always kind of been a little bit enamored with Ron Moss, who played Rich Forrester, or maybe still plays Rich Forrester. I don't know. Is this still on? I haven't watched soap operas in a long time, but I thought this would be fun to take a look at. And I don't know if y'all know. Okay, so in 06 and 07, I worked for a local motel as a night auditor. We were trying to get out of debt. I was still working at Disney, and I could only work part-time at Disney because of having kids at home and everything. So the only other time I could work was overnight. So I did night auditor 2 or 3 nights a week. And so we would always have the TV on in the lobby. That would kind of help, keep us awake and all of that. And by us, I mean myself and the security guy who would kind of roam around and come in and out. And sometimes, we would chat just to kind of help, help us both to stay awake. And there was a time, I think it was Time Life set of maybe DVDs, maybe CDs that they were selling. There was an infomercial for music from the 70s. And one of the songs that would come on this infomercial was Baby Come Back. And that had been a song, that was a song that was recorded by a group called Player. And as I was watching the videos of the groups from the 70s, and anytime Player would come on, I noticed that Ron Moss was in the video. He was a member of the group Player. I don't know if you know that. A little fun fact. So I looked it up, searched, and sure enough, he was in the group Player. And I follow him now on YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel where he sometimes does sing. He sings some other songs, but every once in a while, he'll sing Baby Come Back, sometimes with his partner from the group, sometimes on his own. And anyway, I just thought it was kind of fun that I was like, oh my goodness, you know, who knew? Anyway, I just thought this would be fun to look at. It was 99 cents, and I will enjoy looking through it before I hopefully pass it on to someone else. And then we left there and moved on up the road a little farther, and stopped in Muskogee. So at one point in my life, I was proud to be an Okie from Muskogee. That is where I did my student teaching. It's also not very far from where my sister currently lives. She was already living there at the time that I was student teaching, so occasionally I would hop and skip over to her house and visit her while I was doing my student teaching. But in Muskogee, I did a quick search, and I found that they do have a used bookstore there. But first, on the route of things, I noticed there was a Salvation Army store, and they're starting to close in my area here of Florida, but they are still open in Oklahoma, which is great. So I stopped in there, and Emily picked out 2 movies, and I found 2 books, and I got one other item. So the movies that Emily picked out, I'm pretty sure I know she already has Tinkerbell, but I couldn't talk her out of it, and it was 99 cents, I think. So that was fine. She also got one of the Elmo's World videos, head to toe with Elmo. So no problem. I guess I should have checked to make sure they were in there. Thankfully, that one's there. And this one is sealed. No, this is not sealed, but it was just latched. And yeah, so at least the correct movies are in there. I also grabbed a couple of books. These are not for me, but I've been off and on collecting these for Janelle from Too Fond of Books. She did a video a couple of years ago talking about the Hamish Macbeth series by MC Beaton, and she said she wanted to finish collecting the rest of the series. She already has a whole bunch of them, but I made a list of the ones she didn't have, and of course I didn't have that list with me, so I don't know if she has these or not, but I went ahead and grabbed them. I think I might have paid 99 cents for them, and so not a big deal. Anyway, I got A Highland Christmas and then Death of a Cad. So Janelle, if you're watching this, look and see if you have these. I've still got several books set aside for her. One of these days I'm going to have to get them all boxed up and get them sent. Canadian postage or not, I'm going to have to get these mailed to her. And then I was getting ready to leave, and I saw this laying around. It was $1.99, and this is kind of a bolo for resellers. Be on the lookout for these egg jello molds, because apparently they sell really well on eBay. And so I figured for $1.99, I could probably make my money back and a little bit of profit, so I went ahead and grabbed it. And then we went on to the used bookstore. They were open, I'm trying to think, we didn't have very long as I looked it up on Google, and I realized that they were not going to be open much longer. So we hurried down there. Thankfully, it wasn't very far from where we were. And I made some exciting finds. One of the things I found were several of the love-inspired canine romances. I don't know which ones I got there, so I'm not going to show you a bunch of them. And at the end of the video, every one that I bought that I don't know for sure which store I bought it in, I'll just put those all in a group and show you those at the end of the video. But I do know that I got some there. But my most exciting find there were some Little House books. Now, I had just bought a copy of On Tide Mill Lane from a store, I guess, earlier that day. But when I looked at my list, I don't think I had this at all. And one of my co-hosts didn't have it either. So I definitely went ahead and grabbed this one. It was $3. So a great deal. And I don't think I had this one either. Little House on Boston Little House by Boston Bay. And this is one of the Charlotte years. And actually, yeah, both of these are from the Charlotte years. So I was very happy to find those. And I did not have this. I found the Little House cookbook. This is the edition I wanted. There is a newer, fancier edition that has come out in more recent years, but this is the one I really wanted. I had checked out this edition from my library and read it, I guess, last year for the Little House Readathon, and I really wanted a copy of this. So I paid $6.50. Well worth it. Very excited to have the Little House cookbook. So from that point, my sister was home by then, and we went on and headed over there. She had told me she had kind of a later in the day appointment, and she wouldn't be home super early, so she wasn't super concerned with me getting there before she got home, because she knows I can dilly-dally in bookstores as long as needed. And so I found out, though, that she had, sorry, the cat over here making noise. I found out that she was home by the time I finished my book shopping, and I was ready to head that way, and she said, perfect timing. So got there in time for dinner, and then stayed there for 5 nights. Now, part of the time I was there, we were doing things with her and her husband, and part of the time when we didn't have any place to go or anything to do, then I was working on my income taxes. But we arrived, I guess, on Thursday evening, and so on Friday I did go ahead and go into Tulsa to Gardner's Used Books. I think it's Used Books and Music. I'll show you a picture here. That is the largest bookstore, or the largest used bookstore in the state of Oklahoma. And I've been there before. I think I showed a little bit of footage maybe last year. I didn't take any footage this year. So if you want to see any footage from there, I think I did take just a smidgen of footage in my last year's video. And I will link that down below, or maybe possibly put it in a card up here. So at Gardner's, both at Gardner's and at the bookstore in Muskogee, they didn't give me an itemized receipt, which is why I don't remember exactly which books I got there. But I do remember some, and most of my books from Gardner's have an orange Gardner's tag, so I at least can narrow it down some. But I found these 2 books in the kids' room. This is book 3 and 5 from the Road to Avonlea episode books, or chapter books. And the Road to Avonlea is based on The Story Girl by Lucy Maud Montgomery, but the TV series has a book, I think, for each episode, at least the first several, maybe just season 1. I don't know if it's season 1 and 2. I'm not sure how many of these there are. I haven't looked lately. But anyway, I used to have some of these years ago. I got rid of them, and then I decided I really should have kept them. So I have since then found books 1 and 2, and now I have 3 and 5. So I'm happy to have those. And then probably my most exciting find at Gardner is book 6 in the Danielle Ross Mysteries by Gilbert Morris. I have been wanting to finish collecting this whole series for years. I've said this before, and you may or may not have heard me talk about this. There are 2 different editions of this series. There's 6 books in the first edition, and then a few years later, another publisher published 4 of them. On Goodreads, it looks like the first 4 books are the same as the 4 that they published later. They're not. And on Goodreads, it's incorrect. So I have taken it upon myself to figure out which book coincides with which one so that we can get that corrected on Goodreads. I have listened to the newer versions on audio, and now I want to go back and read all 6 of the books in print from these original editions, and I did not have book 6. So I'm excited to have that. It's called Race with Death. Danielle Ross, or Dani Ross, is a young woman who has taken over her father's private investigation business. And she has hired a man to work with her. She is a Christian. The man she's hired is not a Christian. It is a Christian-based series, but it's not what I would really consider cozy, although it's not super graphic or gory either. It is just a Christian detective series, and I have really enjoyed the ones that I've read so far. And they've been around a while, probably 80s, 90s, something like that. Then I found almost all of the Annie's Attic mysteries that I did not have. I think I have 1 left that I still need, and I'm not sure what numbers these are. I can't even remember how many are in this series. There's over 20 or more in the series, and I have all of them now but one. So I found, and the price was right. The price was $4.45, which is not bad for these. The Cats and the Riddle is one of the ones that I bought. The Deed in the Attic. Oh, Cats in the Riddle is by, this whole series is by multiple authors. Jan Fields. I think Jan Fields writes a lot for Annie's, and I think she wrote the first one in this series. Katie McWright wrote The Deed in the Attic, and then Mary O'Donnell wrote The Tapestry in the Attic. So I'm excited to have those. That's a series that's on my shelves. Now that I have almost all of them, I need to start reading those. And then I bought more of the Love-Inspired Canine books. This is the only one that has the Gardener's tag on it. Holiday Suspect Pursuit by Katie Lee. And I don't think this one is part of any of the series, but it does have a husky in it. And I thought, I'll just go ahead and get it. Now, these don't have Gardener's tags, but I'm almost positive that I got these at Gardener's. These are all 2-book sets, but they are books from the series that I'm collecting. And I don't know that it's possible that I already have 1 or 2 of the books in these bind-ups, but because these are actually books I want to read, not just collect, and they're not available on audio at this point, I decided to go ahead and pick these up. And this one is Keeping Guard. It has 2 stories, one by Valerie Hansen, one by Lenora Worth. The 2 stories were originally published under their titles individually, Detecting Danger and Proof of Innocence. And I couldn't tell you right now exactly which series these are from, but they are from one of the canine series. This one is called Moving Targets by Lynn Shannon and Heather Woodhaven. And the books in it are Following the Evidence and Tracking Secrets. And then the third one is, and this one looks like it could be Alaska. This is Chasing Danger by Christy Barrett and Hope White. Although I thought I got all the Alaska ones, so I don't know. I may have later on found them individually, but it's fine. These sell pretty well on eBay, and I'm happy to add these to my eBay store. Trained to Defend and Mountain Hostage are what's in these 2. It's the 2 books that are in this bind-up. Okay, so I've got the box here that has what my sister gave me, so let me show you those. She gave me a half a dozen books, and 3 of them I'm going to keep and read, and the other 3 are for me to do with what I want to do. So she gave me this book by Jill Shalvis, Lost and Found Sisters. Now, I'm not super interested really in reading any more Jill Shalvis because I tried a couple of hers, and they are just too steamy and salty for me. But Sarah, the Bookish Knitter, had recommended that I give it one more try and that I read Lost and Found Sisters. So, since my own sister had this one and read it and wanted to give it to me, I said, okay, I'll take that one. That's the one Sarah wanted me to read anyway. And then the other 2 that I am planning to read, I have The Healing Quilt by Lorraine Snelling. I have not read anything by Lorraine Snelling. And then one of the Quilts of Love books that I am listening to on audio. I will listen to this one on audio, but I'm excited to have it because I do have a small collection of these. This is A Sky Without Stars by Linda S. Clare. And I don't know. It says this is number, I think I wrote this in here, number 15 in the 24 or 25 book series called Quilts of Love. Again, I call it a series loosely. It's really a collection of books. Some are historical, some are contemporary. They all have an underlying quilt theme, and they are faith-based, but they can be read in any order. Totally in any order. And then she gave me these. This one I already have. It's one of the Marie Bostwick Cobbled Court books. I've got them. You probably can't see them from here, but they're right down here on the next shelf down. She happened to have a duplicate of it, and this one is a little bit banged up, so I probably won't try to sell this one, but I may add it to our little free library because I'm always looking for good books to go in there. And then I had sent her these books because I read the first one and I couldn't stand it. Now you might be like, why did you send your sister a book you can't stand? It's because they're quilt themed, and I wanted to give her a chance to read them. She liked them okay. She said, they were okay. I'm trying to think which one was first. These are Quilting Mysteries by Terry Thayer, and This is books 1 and 2. I think there's only 3. Old Maid's Puzzle is one of them, and Wild Goose Chase is one of them. Honestly, I can't remember which one I read, but I did not want to read the next one. So I passed them on to her, and now she's giving them back to me. I will just lot these up and put them in my eBay store. I still have no interest in reading the second book. Partly because the main character, well, several of the characters, they were awful to each other. I just couldn't get behind the main character, and she just kept making ridiculous life choices, and I just had no patience for her at all. So, you know, if she'd been someone in real life, of course, I would not shun her for her choices. But it's a book. It's a fiction book. And I am not going to read any more about her. Oh my goodness. I just don't want to know what other shenanigans she's going to do next. So that's just my opinion. I'm not trying to stop anybody from reading them. Just know that, wow. Okay. All right. I'm going to pause it and figure out what I want to show you next, and I'll be right back. So after we left my sister's home, I knew that there were a couple of used bookstores in her area that I had not been to, other than Gardner's, which is in Tulsa. And I wanted to try to hit at least a couple of those before leaving the state. So we went into Claremore. We had passed by there on the way to another thing that I went to with her and her husband over the weekend, and I knew that I wanted to come back, and I'm so glad I did. This place is called Boarding House Books. And at the early part of the 1900s, it was actually a boarding house where people stayed and lived, and it is so cool. So I did some shopping, and I bought 4 books. I want to show you the books that I bought, and then I want to show you the footage. I did, after I bought my books, took them to the car, I got my camera and asked permission if I could film, and then took some footage for you to see. I had not been in the mood to film up to this point. I had kind of thought about it, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But when I saw this store, I thought, okay, I have to show you this because it is so cool. It's one of the coolest bookstores that I've ever been to. So let me show you the books that I bought, and then I'll come back and show you the footage that I shot. So when I first went in, I looked around downstairs, and I noticed a cart that had some of the Harlequin love-inspired faith-based romances, and that is the line that the canine romances are a part of. So I didn't find any of the series books exactly like what I was looking for, but I did find a standalone called Shattered Lullaby by Laura Scott. She has written several books in the different canine series, so I thought I would go ahead and pick this one up. And then I noticed this one. This is a bind-up of 2 books that are a part of the series that I'm collecting, and at least one of them is one that I don't have. So I went ahead and decided to get this one. It's called Danger Trail by Lynette Eason and Margaret Daly, and the 2 books in it were originally published separately. Trail of Evidence is one of them, and Security Breach is the other one. So I'm not sure which series this is from, but I decided to go ahead and pick it up because at least one of them is one that I was still looking for. Now, I may get these all out and start checking off the list and discover that I have more than one duplicate. Totally fine. I can sell them on eBay, or I can pass them on to someone else, or if any of you would like to have them, then you know, I'm certainly open to that as well. But you know, sometimes duplicates happen, and it's not a big deal. So then I went upstairs and was just enamored with the place and all of the rooms. I did find the Christian fiction room, and I found 2 books there that I have been searching for. I was thrilled to find both of these. So this book is the first in a series by Melody Carlson. It is the Whispering Pines series. A Place to Come Home To is the name of the book. I have the rest of the series. I think it's a 4-book series, and I have the other 3, but of course I was not going to start the series until I had book 1. So I was thrilled to find it. And then the other book is by Robin Jones Gunn. Now, I do actually have 2 copies of this book, but they are 2 identical books of another edition. So it's kind of a long story, and I don't need to go into the details, but this is the edition that I have been collecting. This is the Glenbrook series. This is book 8, I believe. It's called Woodlands. Like I said, I do have another copy of Woodlands that's in another edition. So I'm still missing book 2 in both editions, but I was at a library bookstore last year sometime, and they had I think, all the books except book 2 on the shelf, and they were like 50 cents a piece. So I thought, okay, and now at the time I didn't realize which one was missing, and I didn't realize that it was the same one that I was missing from my other set, because I thought, surely one of these books is the one I'm missing from my set, and I'll just go ahead and get them, and then I can lot up the rest of them, and I can sell them on eBay. Well, wouldn't you know, the one that set was missing is also the one I'm missing in my edition. But I ended up with 2 copies of Woodlands in the other edition. So I was really excited to find this in the edition that I wanted that matches my set. Now I'm still looking for book 2 in both editions. I want to finish out both of those sets. Then one set will go on eBay. The other one I'll keep and read. And I'm just excited to have it. Okay, so before I show you what I bought in the next town, let me show you the footage from Boarding House Books. It is so cool. I haven't been doing any vlogging so far on this trip, but I had to stop today and film some footage of this amazing bookstore. It's in historic downtown Claremore, Oklahoma, and it is called Boarding House Books. I'm going to back up where you can see the building first, and then I'll take you inside. This building was a boarding house in the early 1900s. Later, it was used for apartments, and the owner of the store told me that people lived in it up to 1986. So now it is a bookstore, and it's called Boarding House Books. There is another little shop here in the corner that I have not been in, but I'm going to take you in the bookstore section. Upstairs, it has 15 rooms of books. Downstairs, it's beautiful. This bookstore by far has the most personality of any bookstore I think I've ever been to. So I'm going to take you inside and show you a little bit, and I think you'll agree that if you are a book lover, you need to come to Claremore, Oklahoma. All right, so I'm going to walk you around the downstairs. And this is the owner. What is your name? I forgot to ask you your name.
Janice Whitaker.
Hello, Miss Whitaker. These are some local interest books. And as I'm walking through, you're welcome to narrate. There's magazines and smaller children's books. They have a selection of new, and I think it's mostly used, right? Your percentage of used to new is about, what do you think?
Only about less than 10%
Is new, okay. So then all along that wall, I believe is mostly mysteries, or is it?
The longest wall was mysteries, and then a small selection of general and horror.
Okay, and there's some Christian fiction here. Of course, I had to look at the love-inspired romances. There's some audiobooks. There's some bargain books back here. That was my first section I looked at. All right, so I'm going to take you upstairs. The stairs themselves are a conversation piece. And just kind of give you an idea of what it's like to walk through here. I've already shopped. I've already checked out. I bought 4 books, which I'll show you in a haul what I bought. But look at the stairs. How cool is that? Each stair is a book. I'm going to pause while I walk upstairs so you don't hear me creaking up the stairs. I will pause here. This is on the landing. There is more treasure in books than in all the pirates' loot on Treasure Island. Walt Disney quote. All right, so when you get to the top of the stairs, it opens up into this amazing lobby. So this was the lobby of the boarding house. And it's kind of a reenactment. I don't know if any of this is like the original furniture or anything, but there are, she said, 15 rooms up here. And I'll just do a quick tour of them. And there, even the closets are full of books. Lots of cute decor. This is the children's room, and here has children's and teen books. I love those shelves. Let me get back to where you can see those. Those are fun. Sorry, I hope I'm not making you dizzy. I'm just trying to soak it all in. There's the closet full. So I'm going to walk down the hallway. There's a nook there with several shelves. So each room has a number. Room 8, hardbacks, paperback, fantasy, science fiction, paranormal, and westerns. In there. And here's some things out in the hall. Room 10, Christian fiction, reference, study Bibles, devotionals, prayer, and world religions in here. So all in there. Number 12, general fiction, paperbacks, and hardbacks. There's an old bicycle made into a table. And then through here is an old bathtub. She said this was in a room that was used as an actual bathroom, and it's closed off, and they've just moved the bathtub in here. Bathtub full of books. And then here are some bargain books. So she showed me what's in room 16, collectors and antiquarian books, and she had to have a key to open it. So I will cut to that footage right now and show you what's inside here. And this room only available with a key because of these very special books here. What did you say these are called? Because I actually don't know. What's the
Easton Press, leather-bound, Franklin Library, leather-bound.
Nice. They're gorgeous, gorgeous books. And then other collectible books in here. I should be filming this sideways because now it's going to come out with the thing, but that's okay. All right, then going back up the hall, room 15, biographies, history, and overstock. And then some of the rooms have connecting doors, or you can just, move from room to room through the hallway. So this is mystery, thrillers, action, adventure. There's a few more books there. Lots of seating. That's great because if you want to find a book and then sit down, or if you're like me and you have a daughter who likes to sit while you shop for books, then there's plenty of places to sit down. So this is the romance room, both historical and contemporary. It goes through there. And I think there's hardcovers along the wall. Anyway, it is just amazing, and I could not leave this place without sharing this footage on a video. So after we left Claremore, I wanted to hit at least one more bookstore, and I had done a search and saw that there was a bookstore in Pryor, Oklahoma that definitely looked worth stopping at. So we headed east to Pryor, and we found the Book Exchange and Bible Bookstore. I think I shot a tiny video of the front of that, so let me go to that. All right, now I'm in Pryor, Oklahoma, which is just a few miles west of Claremore, and there's a bookstore here called the Book Exchange, new and used books, and it also says it's a Bible bookstore. So I didn't find a whole lot of books there that I needed, but I still really enjoyed my experience there. I asked kind of, what's the deal with the two names and everything, and it turns out that several years prior, he had bought the inventory from a Bible bookstore and combined it all into his one shop. So it's still kind of two shops in one. And I did spend a good bit of time in the back room looking through the romances, and I didn't find any of the love-inspired suspense books that I was looking for, but I did find a couple of the Kavanaugh Justice series by Marie Ferrarella. Now, these are not faith-based, and I have a feeling they're probably a little steamier than is my comfort zone, but a friend from book club had given me several of the Kavanaugh books a couple of years ago, and they were all like number 20 and after. And I've been kind of on an active search when I'm in any place that has these books. They are Harlequin intrigue, and I've been looking, or actually these are silhouette. So the series started several years ago when Marie was writing for the Silhouette line, and now that Harlequin has absorbed the Silhouette line, they are coming out as Harlequin books. So it is quite a long series. There's more than 30 in the series, and I have been kind of in an active on again, off again, active search for some of the earlier books in the series. They are on ebook, so when it comes down to it, I could read the first book on ebook, and I really should, before I spend much more time trying to find all of these books. But I did find two that I'm pretty sure I don't have, and I couldn't tell you what number these are, but hopefully they are earlier than book 20. Anyway, it's A Kavanaugh Christmas, and again, these are by Marie Ferrarella, and then Kavanaugh Reunion. So again, probably steamier than is my taste. Actually, this one is Harlequin, so it's probably a little newer. This one is a silhouette, so hopefully this one is one of the older ones. I think before my trip, the oldest one I had is book 12. And I picked up these two and one other one a little later in the trip. And I'm not sure if any of those are earlier than that or not, but we shall see. But like I said, I know I can get them on ebook, so it's not, it's not a deal breaker, but if I'm somewhere and they have a bunch of romances, I still find myself looking to see if they have any Kavanaugh books by Marie Ferrarella. And then the very kind gentleman who owns the shop, who I will tell you more about in just a minute, also gave me this. Now, this is a box for the box set of the World of, or the Days of Laura Ingalls Wilder books. In this particular box, this one originally had book 5, 6, 7, and 8. It's an 8-book series. I'm pretty sure I have all of them. I did buy one on the trip because I still may be missing one of them. I bought the wrong one. I'll show it to you in a little bit. But I offered to buy this box. I just thought it would be cool to have. And he's like, you can have it. I'm like, are you sure? Because, I'd be happy to, pay at least $1 for it or something. But anyway, he gave it to me for free. So I want to tell you about the gentleman who owns the store. He is a booktuber. He has a channel called Cowboy Short Reads. He's got some shorts and he's got some longer videos. The majority of his videos are for children, and he is reading books for children. But he's got a few that are not all the children's books you can't comment to, but he's got a few that are not that you can comment to. So I wanted to tell you about his channel. I will link it down below. At last point I checked, he had about 50-ish subscribers. Now, I have over 2,000. I know not that many people watch me regularly, but at least a couple of hundred of you watch me semi-regularly. Would at least 50 of you go and subscribe to his channel? And I would love to see his channel get to at least 100. You don't have to tell him I sent you or anything like that, but just help him get, a spike in subscribers, because I think he's been doing this for a little while, and he does have some really good content. If you've got any kids in your life that you want to have them watch the videos so that, someone can read to them some fun children's stories and picture books, then definitely check out his channel. Again, it's called Cowboy Short Reads, and I hope that you will go there now and subscribe. So I did subscribe to him while I was there in the store, and that way I could be sure and come back and find it later. So anyway, I have watched a few of his videos now, and definitely plan to watch more. So thank you in advance for subscribing to his channel, and if you ever find yourself in Pryor, Oklahoma, or in the Tulsa area in general, be sure to visit Gardner's, be sure to visit Boarding House Books in Claremore, and be sure to head over to Pryor to the Book Exchange and Bible Bookstore. So after that, we left finally and went to Missouri, and I'm going to pause this, and then I'm going to show you what we bought in Joplin, Missouri. Okay, we're going to be leaving Oklahoma soon, and I thought it would be fun to film this overpass because it is a McDonald's that goes over the freeway It is, I think, Highway 44. It's a toll road, and we are going to be driving under it. Charlotte kind of wanted us to stop, but Emily's been having a bunch of seizures, so I just thought we would film ourselves going under it, and maybe next time. I have been there before. It's kind of a fun place to stop. And then pretty soon we will be entering Missouri in a few miles. So then we left Oklahoma finally and headed into Missouri. I did not try to stop and see my friend Storm from Storm Reads this year. Like I said earlier in the video, I guess my limit is one booktuber per trip. And I had met Emily Sears earlier. So I decided to go ahead and go through Joplin this time and do a little bit of book shopping. I did find a store called Vintage Stock, and they have multiple locations. I just went to one of them. I didn't find a lot. It was kind of like a half-price books, but I looked through their clearance, and I found this edition of Bambi for 99 cents. I don't think I own a copy of Bambi. If I do, it may be the Whitman hardcover that's like abridged, and anyway, I would like to read it at some point. I've heard that it's not the same as the Disney movie. It's a little bit darker, but I'm still excited to have it, and it was 99 cents. So that's all that I bought at Vintage Stock. Then I went on to another used bookstore that I was a little uncomfortable in. It was sort of a store divided into two halves, and one half was a lot of mystical stuff and crystals and stuff that I'm not comfortable with and wouldn't condone and all of that. So I almost walked out, but I thought, well, I'm here. I may as well take a look through the bookstore. So I ended up buying a Christian book in a pagan bookstore. They had a good selection of other books. They had a lot of older books and things, and I looked through what they had. But when I got over to the Christian book section, this one stuck out to me because I've been collecting the series Tales from Grace Chapel Inn, and this is kind of a bright color, and I knew I did not have one that color. I had left my phone charging in the car, and I wanted to be sure that I didn't have it. So I did run back to the car, and I checked my Google Doc where I have these listed and saw that for sure I did not have it. It was $3. So definitely worth picking up. And Mystery at the End by Carolyn Arson. I'm not sure what number it is, but I have almost all of these. Maybe I'm missing 2 or 3 out of the series of 40 plus books. So I was happy to get that. And then that was all that we did for that day. By that point, it was getting to be 7 p.m.-ish, and we needed to get on as far as Eureka, Missouri, which is a suburb of St. Louis, and that's where we had reservations for a motel. So I'm going to pause it, and then I will tell you what we got the next day on our way to Ohio. Okay, I'm back. So we stayed in Eureka, Missouri on Wednesday night, I believe. And then we needed to head on to Dayton, Ohio the next day so that we could get there and get some rest and be ready to get to my daughter Katie's color guard competition first thing on Thursday morning. So I still, am forever compelled to shop for books wherever I go. And we still had to drive through the St. Louis area, so I thought surely there will be some interesting used bookstores that we can stop at. So we did stop at 2, and I did film a little bit of footage out front of the first one, so let me show you that right now. Hello, it is the morning of April 12th. Emily and I are in a little suburb of St. Louis called Webster Groves, I believe. And our first stop of the day is the Novel Neighbor, which is a little bookshop, or maybe a big bookshop. It looks kind of large, maybe this whole building. So we're going to go in and see what we can find. And now let me show you what I bought. It turned out they were a new bookstore, and at first I thought, oh, I don't know if I want to pay, a new book price, and I don't know if there's anything, if they're going to have anything that I want. But I asked if they had Cozy Mysteries, and I did find one of the newer books in the Tea Shop Mysteries by Laura Childs that I didn't have. So I decided to go ahead and pick this up. I'm not sure what I paid for it. The retail price is $7.99, so I probably paid $7.99 plus tax. And Emily spotted some children's books, and she wanted to get this one. Actually, she wanted to get a board book, and I talked her up into a little golden book. This is Elmo's Easter Egg Surprises, and it was just past Easter, so all of the Easter stuff was still out. And incidentally, I didn't mention, I guess, that we went to Resurrection Sunday service with my sister and her husband, and really enjoyed that. So anyway, here is the book that Emily got. I did go ahead and pay for this one for her. But she picked out another one at another store later in the day, and I made her pay for it, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But all right, so we left there. That was in the community of Webster Groves. And then we found another used bookstore in the Maplewood area. I believe I'm saying that correctly. And oh yes, and I think I did shoot some footage there. So as I said in my video, there was a wow factor with this store as well. So let me show you that footage, and then I'll show you what we bought. All right, so the previous store turned out to be a new bookstore, and we did buy a couple of books. And now we've come on down the street a couple miles to the Book House, which I believe is a used bookstore, or predominantly used bookstore. So we're going to go in and see what they have. All right, so I opened the door and I was wowed. So Emily and I are going to open the door again so you can see the wowness. That is pretty cool. Hello, how are you? Okay, so I bought one book there, and Emily bought a book. Now, I made her pay for her own book this time because we saw this on the way in, and she grabbed a hold of it, and I looked at the price. This was a store that had a lot of antique books, and they were asking an antique book price for this. The price they were asking for this book was $16. And this is a little golden book from 1953. So, it is old, and it's in excellent condition. But I made her put it down, and I was like, oh, Emily, you don't want to get that. That's an antique book. Let a collector get that or whatever. Well, my daughter is kind of a collector. She's got a whole bunch of these little golden books. But, I made her put it down. We went all around the store. Then when we came back, and I did find one book, which I'm very excited about. I'll show you in just a second. But that happened to be on display right near the checkout. And she grabbed it again. And I could not wrestle it from her hands. She wanted this book, and there was no talking her out of it. So I said, okay, you're paying for it. So she bought this book, Bugs Bunny at the Easter Party. 1953 little golden book. All right, so this was probably the book that I paid the most for. I definitely paid. I paid more for this book than I paid for the new book at the other store. But it's because it is Farther Afield by Miss Reed. This is a book we're supposed to be reading this month. I haven't read it because I'm still finishing up my March books for the Follow Us to Fair Acre read-along that's hosted by Kate Howe. This is the next book I needed to read. I don't think I've written the number in here yet, but I paid $12 for it. I believe it's book 11 in the Fair Acre series. I did not own it. I have looked high and low, far and wide, never found it anywhere. But right here, it was completely worth the $12 I paid for it. I would have probably paid $20 if they had asked me for that much, because I really wanted this book. My library doesn't have it. I needed this book. So I'm thrilled. This was my best find of the whole trip right here, getting Farther Afield by Miss Reed. So I'm very excited about that. So then after that, we couldn't leave St. Louis without seeing the Arch. Now, I didn't want to pay the money to go up in it. I've been in it before. I didn't even really want to go in it, even if it was free. I don't have any desire to go up in it again. I went in it when I was on a 4-H trip in high school, and it was a great experience. I'm glad that I did it, but I just kind of wanted Emily to see it. So we went as near as we could, and we took a selfie with the Arch in the background, and I'll show you a picture really quick here of Emily and myself in front of the Gateway Arch in St. Louis, Missouri. So then we crossed the bridge and went over into East St. Louis, Illinois, and I didn't see any interesting looking bookstores there, and I knew that, we had spent the whole morning already in St. Louis and needed to continue to make some better time and get to Ohio you know, in order to get some sleep. So we just kept driving. We were driving across Illinois. We drove across Indiana and then on into Ohio. But in Illinois, we were on the interstate, and I just happened to look up at one of those blue signs, you know, where it tells the food and the lodging and all of that. And there was a sign. We were nearing a town called Casey, Illinois, and the sign said attractions, like at this exit. And I caught it as we were passing. It said world's largest rocking chair, world's largest wooden shoes, and world's largest something else. And I thought, okay, that sounds kind of fun. And so, you know, we're driving along. It was still a mile or two before we got to the exit. And I thought, we could have a break right now. We could get off this highway, because I love kitschy stuff like that. I mean, my husband and I have been to the world's largest ball of twine twice. In Minnesota. It's the one that there's a Weird Al song about. It's the world's largest ball of twine made by one man. It's not the same one that's in the Michael movie, if you've ever seen that movie with John Travolta. That's a different one. But the one in Minnesota I've been to, and I thought, you know what? Let's just stop. So I will show you. I did take some video clips, and I have a couple of photos. So let me show you a couple of photos. I don't think I took a video of world's largest rocking chair. So let me show you a photo of that, and then I will just piece together a few other clips of some of the stuff that I took, and it was just super fun. It's like this little town has just decided to make a name for themselves with all this over the top extra large items. And I think it's just something like small town, big something. I don't know. It'll probably be in the video. So let me show you all of that, and then I'll come back. So this little town has just made a whole tourist attraction out of world's largest things. It's got the world's largest wind chime. And over there, I don't know if you can see, is the world's largest teeter-totter. There were some people on it. It probably takes quite a few people to get it to actually teeter and totter. But here is a sign. A few of these things are farther down the road. It says big things in a small town. It's got world's largest wooden shoes and world's largest knitting needles and crochet hook. Have not seen those. World's largest pitchfork says it's down the street. World's largest golf tee, and world's largest mailbox is back the other way. Anyway, I want to try to find as many of these things as I can and try to get at least a picture or video footage. I think it's going to be fun. And now a little farther down the road is at the country club is the world's largest golf tee. So next we're going to go down the road a little farther to the world's largest pitchfork. Okay, here we are at the world's largest pitchfork. I mean, this is the epitome of small town America, and I love it. In the words of Weird Al's Twine Ball song, this here's what America is all about. There's another family here that are trying to find all the things too, and we're trying to find the knitting needles. But here is the big mousetrap. It says, "Help me, I'm trapped in Casey, Illinois." And I'm not sure what the other thing is supposed to be. Maybe it kind of looks like a honey thing, but no, that's not what it is. Oh, it's a golf club. Okay, it is a golf club. And then the golf tee is down at the country club where I showed you. Across the street is the big pencil, and there is a barber pole. This is just too much fun. It's like the whole town just decided to make it big, and I love it. I think I just found the knitting needles. I don't see the crochet hook though. And then we have the big yardstick. It's got a scripture verse on it, Matthew 7:2. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. And their theme here is big things in a small town. Well, this little excursion has been super fun. Here is the world's largest mailbox, and I'm still trying to find the world's largest wooden shoes. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find everything because there are a lot more things that are coming up when I search, but this is just awesome. So here we have the world's largest bird cage, and still haven't found the shoes, but there's a few antique vehicles here. And another Bible verse. I love that they have incorporated Bible verses onto several of the things. Well, I still never found the wooden shoes, but we're going to call an end to this adventure for today with the world's largest key and the world's largest taco. Weren't those things so fun? We didn't get to find everything that I saw advertised, but we saw most of it, and or at least I did. Emily got kind of tired after a while. We had to drive a little ways to see some of it, and then we came back to downtown, and then she just wanted to sit in the car, but I was, just walking within, a short distance to see most of it, and then we drove around to try to find some of the stuff that wasn't right there in the downtown area. But anyway, it was super fun. I'm glad that we did it. It was definitely an experience. If you ever find yourself in or near Casey, Illinois, be sure that you stop by. So we got to our hotel quite late on Wednesday night, but we did make it on time to the first round of preliminary competition for Color Guard. Now, what we went to, in case you're curious, is the WGI, or World Guard International competition. It was the championships for the year. We did get shirts. So, and by we, I mean Emily and myself each got a shirt. This has all the teams that were there, including my daughter's. Her team is called Tampa Independent, and it was just really fun. And there are several classes within all of these. Each one, I'm not even sure. There's probably about 6 or 8 different classes or skill levels that, and each team competes within their class or their comparable skill level. So for Katie's class, they came in 5th overall, and I want to say 5th in the country, but it's not quite the world, but there was at least US and Canada there. I'm not sure if there were any other countries represented, but in her class, there were some Canadian teams as well as United States. So it was awesome. They did a great job. So I did also get my husband a shirt. Actually, Emily bought this for her dad. Now, we had seen one similar to this. I had never seen this shirt before at all. And there was a gentleman sitting in front of us at the prelims who had a purple version of this that his wife had made, and she had put the flags and things like that on it, whereas this is the one the vendors had. But I love this, the Guard Father. so I guess the whole puppet strings is something to do with the Godfather. I don't know. My husband is a Godfather fan. I've seen it, but I don't remember enough about it to know exactly what this signifies. But the first shirt I saw had instead of the puppet hands, it had flags, and I don't know, it was somehow more personalized to Color Guard. But this one is still fun, and Randy will enjoy wearing this to competitions next year. So I want to show you just a little clip of Katie's team. Now, we're not really supposed to film anything. I think most of the music is probably copyrighted and all that, so I probably will mute the sound. But I want to show you at least a tiny clip of her team, and I'll try to find a clip. Now, they did perform 3 times. They were the preliminaries, and there wasn't a lot of audience around even the preliminaries or the semifinals. The finals were in a big arena that was just this huge place, and they were way down there. So I might show you just a clip of that. But I want to try to show you a clip from either the prelims or the semifinals where I got a better shot of her, and she does have one solo toss. So I'm going to try to find a clip of that. So, and if I can figure out how to edit it in, maybe an arrow that points so you can see which one is Katie. If I can, I might not be able to, but at least you might be able to get an idea of what this is about. So there's 2 different kinds of color guard. There's the color guard like with military ROTC. That's not what this is. This is color guard like what we perform with the marching band during a football game. But in the winter, when there's no football, they have winter guard. And each state has their own state group. Ours is FFCC, and our team competes in FFCC, but then they also compete in WGI, which is the World Guard International, and it kind of all goes hand in hand. So this was Katie's first year to be in WGI. She was on a FFCC team in high school, but this is her first year to do the collegiate level guard, which is what she's in now. So she still did FFCC, but also WGI. All right. If I got you thoroughly confused. Anyway, here's a clip, and then I'll come back and we'll commence with the book shopping. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a little more of an idea about what color guard is, in case you didn't know. If you do know what color guard is, and if you have any kids or relatives that have done color guard, let me know. I did not know anything about it until Katie was in high school and got interested in joining color guard. Her freshman year, we went to see the showcase at the end of the year. She didn't do it in her freshman year, but then she joined the team as a sophomore, and it's just been her main extracurricular activity ever since then. So anyway, we spent 2 full days doing color guard stuff and did not do any book shopping on I guess the 13th and 14th. So we headed out of the Dayton area that morning, Saturday morning, and headed towards Northeast Tennessee. I was invited to a cookout with some reseller friends that evening, but I, of course, still had to do some book shopping on the way. And I had seen in my searches for used bookstores that the Friends of the Library in the Cincinnati area had a bookstore. So that was the first place we stopped. And I think I did shoot a little bit of footage of the front of the building. So let me show you that, and then I'll come back and show you what I bought. Okay, it is Saturday, April the 15th, and we have left the color guard competition, but we're still in the Cincinnati area. We've left the Dayton area, and I found this Friends of the Public Library. I don't know if it's Friends of Cincinnati or what, but there's Emily. We're getting ready to go in, and this is probably the only book shopping we'll do today because we're expected at a Tennessee resellers cookout tonight, and we're excited to go there, but couldn't resist stopping at least one book stop for today. Wow, it is pretty cool in here. Just a quick overview. So I did find several books here at this place, mainly some Little House books that I was pretty excited about. I found 2 books that are chapter books adapted from the Little House books by Laura Ingalls Wilder, and I went ahead and picked these up. I didn't leave the price on these. I think they were probably $1. I got Pioneer Sisters and then The Adventures of Laura and Jack. I think that these are both from Little House on the Prairie. It's like they're a chapter out of Little House on the Prairie. Or maybe this one's Makes of Plum Creek. I'm not actually sure. But I like to collect Little House stuff, and I didn't have these. So I got those. And then also I got this for Emily. I don't think she has any of these My First Little House books. And I got this one. I can't remember what I paid for it, but there's a whole series of these. This one is called A Little House, A Little Prairie House. And it's just very, very sweet. And the artwork is really nice. I don't think these are illustrated by Garth Williams, but they look a lot like his illustrations. Let me see if I can tell you the name of the illustrator. These are illustrated by Renee Graff. So, or at least I hope that's how you say it. Let me show you her name. in case I'm saying it wrong. Anyway, very, very pretty. And then my most exciting little house find, I did not have this. In fact, I'm not even sure if I've seen this before. The World of Little House. This is by Carolyn Strom Collins and Christina Weiss Erickson. I have the Anna Green Gables companion books that was written by them. And I think I have a Little Women book. These women love the same authors and books that I do. And this is just a beautiful companion book to the Little House series, and I just love it. I can't wait to read it cover to cover. It's going to be awesome. And then I happened to see some other books from the Tales from Grace Chapel Inn that I did not have. I got Empty Nest. In fact, both of these are by Pam Hansen and Barbara Andrews. They are a writing team that has written several books from this series. So I got Empty Nest, and they also serve. So I think I mentioned earlier, I think I have all of these now except maybe 2. So I'm super excited about that. And then I found a Miss Julia book that I did not have. Now I don't have my Miss Julia collection written down or cataloged anywhere that I know of. Maybe on my Kindle, but I think I didn't have my Kindle with me. So I pulled up a video, and I was just trying to see in a video which books I had on the shelf. And I was like, okay, I don't see the light blue. So that means I don't have this one. Because this one is Miss Julia Weathers the Storm. And I have accidentally bought it twice before. But this one, Miss Julia Raises the Roof, I was pretty sure I didn't have. Still missing a couple of the ones right near the end. But I'm about out of space. I may have to take something else off the shelf in order to make room for this one. But I want to collect all of the Miss Julia books in hardcover, and I almost have them all, and I love them. It's my second favorite series of all time, only second to the Mitford series by Jane Karen. And then from there, we went into Kentucky, and I'm going to have to put the name of the town here in Kentucky, but the store is called Blue Marble Books. I called ahead to make sure that they were there and that they were open and everything. They were primarily a children's bookstore. I think they did have some used books, but mostly they had new books, and it was a children's store. So I called ahead and just asked if they had any of the books in the Martha, Charlotte, or Caroline years. She said, hang on a minute. And she came back and she said, yes, we do. And she listed a couple of them. One of them I had, but one of them I didn't think I had. At least if I did have it, it was not a very good copy. So I thought, okay, this is going to be worth going over there. It's going to be worth pulling off the highway for. And it totally was. They had several, even more. There was some more on the shelf below that the girl didn't even realize. They even had some hardcovers new on the shelf. These are brand new, and I got them for the suggested retail price of $5.99. If you live in that area and you want to collect these Martha, Charlotte, and Caroline years, I left some for you. There are several more on the shelf. So stop in there and see what they've got, because I have not found them new on the shelf anywhere in who knows when. So not that I ever really looked, because they've been out of print for so long, you wouldn't expect to find them at a new bookstore. So definitely worth stopping. I'm so glad that I did. So then it was time to head on down to Northeast Tennessee. I was expected at the Northeast Tennessee Resellers Cookout. It was at the home of the Trading Post Pickers, who are resellers and YouTubers and friends of mine. Also, my friend Rebel, the Rebel reseller, was there, as well as some others that I had not met before. So they were filming. In fact, I've already seen myself in the Trading Post Pickers videos, and I will leave a link to their channel, definitely. And well, I'm going to leave a link to everyone's channel, but I want to introduce you to them in this video. So I went around and just filmed everybody. Most of them have reseller YouTube channels, but there was one family there who has a cooking channel, and what she brought to the party was so good. So I definitely want to encourage you to check out her cooking channel. And so now let me go to that footage and let you meet not only Rebel and the Trading Post Pickers, but all of the others who were there. It was a lot of fun. Hey everybody, this is not a bookish portion of the video, but I am at a reseller event in, where am I? Northeast Tennessee? Yes. Northeast Tennessee, with some of my reseller friends. Some I just met, some I've known from their videos, and I want you to meet them, so that if you have any interest in reselling or just seeing what people are doing in Northeast Tennessee, then you can check out all of the people here are YouTubers. So I'm going to turn the camera around and let them introduce themselves. All right, so the hosts of this soiree are
Christina.
And I'm Scott. We're the Trading Post Pickers.
and next to them,
Sher, Grin and Grandma, and Grin and Grandpa.
what's your channel name? It's Grin and Grandma, right? That's right. And this gentleman I just met this evening.
Yep, I'm Donald, Mars Bargain Basement on YouTube and eBay.
All right.
Bargain Basement.
Oh, do you care if your kids are on? Okay. All right, go ahead.
This is Travis.
You gotta speak up. And this is Travis and Courtney and their family. What a good looking bunch. And you have a channel, right, on YouTube or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cooking and grocery hauls.
Cooking and grocery hauls. So they are, that's right. I remember now. You guys told me that a while ago. So that is very cool. And then there's my daughter, Emily. Y'all have met her before. And then over here we have the famous Rebel Reseller. I used to be on her live streams. And let me skip y'all for 1 second and let you meet Robert. He's the voice behind the camera. And then we have
I'm Tim, the TN Pickers.
I'm Jerri.
the TN Pickers. I just learned about them yesterday and checked out their videos.
YouTube and eBay.
YouTube and eBay. Awesome. So we are, like I said, in northeastern Tennessee, and I just wanted you to meet this fine bunch of folks. So I'm going to go off of here and get something to eat. So I hope you will go and check out all of their channels and subscribe. Whether you have any interest in reselling or not, just help bump up their subscriber count. But of course I want to encourage you to watch all of their videos, and I hope that you will. So I did not know until we were already in the middle of our trip that the theme of this party was going to be a luau. In fact, Christine gave us a couple of souvenirs. We got some fun drinking cups. I've got to find a straw for this one, but anyway, those are super fun. We actually were prepared for this party without even knowing that we would be, because I did not know that it was going to be a luau until we were already on the way. We were already on the road on our trip. But Emily had bagged up a very heavy bag of books to take on the trip that sat in the front of her in front of her car seat for most of the trip, and she looked at them repeatedly. Whenever she felt like looking at books as we were riding along, she looked at books. Well, I did not look at what she was bringing or anything, and she had loaded up a bag from her room that I didn't know till we had left. There were some Hawaiian leis in the bottom of the bag, and she just piled her books in on top of them. One of them was one that I had made in college, and it was made out of nice artificial flowers, and it was really pretty. And then there was one of the little plastic ones that she'd gotten somewhere, and then a couple of others that I think she had made just at, like, I don't know, camp or something. And so she had all of those in a bag. So we actually came prepared with our Hawaiian getup. We didn't have Hawaiian shirts, but we put on our best spring colors that we had in our suitcase, and we were as prepared as we could be for the party. So that worked out really well. So we spent the night at a local motel, and then the next morning we met Rebel at her church where her and her husband go. And her church gave us this really nice little welcome bag, and there's a couple of things in here, including an ink pen and some information about the church. And I told them, I said, we're just traveling, I know they have the intent to give these to people in the hopes that they'll come back, but she said, that's okay, this is just a little welcome gift for you. And look at this. I love these jar food mixes. This is so great with the recipe of how to do it. This is brownies. So how nice was that? So I'm excited about that. And then we went to Rebel's house. We got to see her amazing eBay store. She has a 10,000 item eBay store. So I did just a little bit of footage in her store, or in her storage area, and I will show you that right here. Hey everybody, I'm in Tennessee with my friend Rebel, the Rebel reseller, and we are in her amazing storage of her eBay store. I'm just showing you a tiny bit of her, how many listings?
10,000.
10,000 listings store, mostly toys and plush. And tell all the book people hi, Rebel.
Hi.
Rebel reads zombie books. Tell them some of the authors that you like to read.
I don't know. I know, like, there's a series called The Babylon, which Sam Sizavath, I love.
Okay, see,
John O'Brien.
not my genre, I don't know, but she does read, so.
I do read a lot.
And if you have any interest in reselling, she has an amazing channel called The Rebel Reseller on YouTube, and you should check her out. So, I just wanted to say hi, and we'll talk to you later. So, you can't really tell from the video, but she just has an amazing setup. So much work has gone into her eBay store. She's been selling on eBay, I think, for 23 years. She's been a YouTuber for 2 years now, and has just become one of my really good friends through my journey on eBay, and I appreciate her so much. Anytime I have a question or an issue that comes up on eBay, I can always text her, and she's got an answer for me. So, Rebel, if you're watching this, thank you so much. Thank you for your hospitality. She took us to lunch, and we just had a wonderful morning and afternoon with her. So, I left Rebels, and I had a choice of either going back to Knoxville and going down through Atlanta. If I had done that, I could have gone to McKay's Used Books, which is a huge used bookstore. I think there's several locations, and I had heard of it before. I've heard booktubers talk about it. I really wanted to go, but at the same time, I didn't really want to go back the other way and have to go through Atlanta. So Rebel's husband Robert had already mentioned a store called Mr. K's, and then Rebel told me how to get there. And there's actually 4 locations. If I'd planned a little better, if I had timed it a little better and hurried up a little bit at the one I went to, I could have made it to one of the other locations because it was on the way. But I spent a little too much time at the Mr. K's in Johnson City, Tennessee, that I didn't have time to make it to either of the other locations that would have kind of been on my route. But I'm so glad I went. I found some great stuff, and I'm really happy with what I got. It's Sunday, and I gave up going to McKay's because I didn't want to go back through Knoxville, Tennessee, but I'm in Johnson City, Tennessee, where they have Mr. K's. He said there's actually 4 locations, and I think I'm going to try to hit the one of the other ones in Asheville on my way out. But Mr. K's is a fantastic store, and I got a big bag of books, so I'm excited to show you what I got. So I found some awesome books at McKay's, and I want to show you one of the last finds first, just to go ahead and get them out of the way. But this was pretty exciting. I found this almost an entire series by Melody Carlson. I've already mentioned her earlier in this video. She's got a series of books called Diary of a Teenage Girl. They are YA books, and it's a large series, but yet there are 4 series within the overarching series, and each one is about one particular girl. So there is a 4-book series about a girl named Caitlin, and then a 4-book series about a girl named Chloe, and then a 4-book series about a girl named Kim, and then a 3-book series about a girl named Maya. So I don't have any of the Maya books, and I only had 3 of these to start with. I had this book, which is book 1 of the Caitlin series, and then I couldn't remember really that I had this one. I didn't know what I had. I knew I had 3 books, and I looked at all the ones they had. I noticed that they had several on the shelf, and they were marked down to $2 a piece. And I looked at them, and I thought, there may be one of these that I already have. I'm not sure which one, but I'm just going to get them all. So I got all 8 books for $2 a piece, and sure enough, there was one duplicate. But the duplicate is this first book in the Caitlin series, and the spines are different. So, you know, even though I kind of had an inkling that I was getting a duplicate, you wouldn't know it from the spines. And the rest of the series that I have, more go with this new spine that I got. So I'll probably let this one go, maybe pass it on, put it in a little free library. Maybe I'll put it in our high school little free library, something like that. So anyway, I have 2 copies now of the first book in the Caitlin series. This first one is called Becoming Me. And then wait, is that right? Yeah, book 2 of Caitlin is It's My Life. And then book 3 is Who I Am. And then I already had book 4, although I may still try to find another copy of this because this has got library stickers on it that are under the laminating. Don't you hate that? Anyway, this is called On My Own. So I already had this one, but now I have the complete Caitlin series. And so then the next series is the Chloe series, and I have all 4 of these now. The first one is My Name is Chloe. And the second one is called Sold Out. And the third one is called Road Trip. And then I already had the 4th one, which is called Face the Music. And then I was able to get 2 of the Kim series. And as of right now, this is all I have of it. It's books 2 and 4. The second book is called Meant to Be. And book 4 is That Was Then. So I just need 1 and 3 of Kim and then all 3 of the Maya books, and I'll have the whole set. So I was really excited to find those, especially at that great price. So then let me show you the other books I got at Mr. K's. It's kind of a random assortment of things. I was looking in the romances, and I found book 1 in the Whispering Mountain series by Jodie Thomas. I think I have all the rest of the series. I listened to this whole series on audio. I really enjoyed it, all except for book 2. I did not like book 2, but I have them all except I didn't have this one, and I thought I'm just going to go ahead and grab it. It was $2.50, so not a bad deal. And then I found a Mr. Monk book that I don't think I have. Mr. Monk and the New Lieutenant. This one is one of the later ones by High Conrad. And I also found, apparently, another of the Caroline years. I already had this one, but I believe I checked, and like I said, I'm trying to help out my Little House Readathon co-hosts, and so I got this for one of them. This is Little Town at the Crossroads. And then I did get, Emily picked out a couple of books. Sorry, my bag is rattling here. Emily picked out a couple of books. These are some older Disney ones, Lady and the Tramp 2 and Hiawatha's Bear Hunt. This little guy reminds me a lot of the Precious Moments character, Little Sparrow, which is one of Emily's all-time favorite characters. It is her favorite Precious Moments character. So I could totally get why she wanted this one. She's watched Lady and the Tramp a lot. I don't know if she's ever watched Lady and the Tramp 2, at least not recently. I think we have it, but I know I haven't watched it in a long time. I'm not even sure much about it, but anyway, then I was also happy to find another book in a series I've been collecting, and I think this is the only one I did not have in either of the series that I'm collecting by the author Michael Phillips. This is called Never Too Late. It's I believe book 3 of the Carolina Cousins. Let me see, it's got a number here somewhere, very hard to see. I think this is book 3 in the Carolina Cousins series. Again, a faith-based series, and I have not read any of these, but now I will have them all on my shelf. So that's what I got at Mr. K's. Let me go take these back, and then I will show you what we picked up the next day. We got to Mr. K's, and we're there until almost closing time, and like I said, we didn't have enough time to make it to either of the other locations. So we got some dinner, and it was starting to look kind of rainy, but at that point, I still wanted to try to maybe just power on through and make it to Florida without stopping, but in the end, we ended up stopping in Columbia, South Carolina, which was a good thing because I woke up and realized, I think actually before I went to bed, I searched used bookstores. There was a Second and Charles, like at the next exit. So, of course, it was not going to be that close to a Second and Charles and not stop. So the next day we went to Second and Charles and then found this other really cute little bookstore in Savannah, Georgia on the way home. And I will show you the books that we got in both of those places in just a second. Okay, so we're moving on to the home stretch of our trip, and I still have like 20 books to show you. So we got up, we were in Columbia, South Carolina, and we went to the Second and Charles. Literally spent 2.5 hours there, and came out with a big bag of books. I want to say, I'm trying to remember which store I spent the most in, if it was either Second and Charles or the Mr. K's. At one of those stores I spent like $42, and somewhere close to that at the other store. But anyway, I found some great stuff. I found a few clearance items, and some, I didn't know I needed, but I picked them up anyway. This one looked interesting. 1 Minute Mysteries and Brain Teasers. This is a faith-based book. It says Good Clean Puzzles for Kids of All Ages by Sandy Silverthorne and John Warner. Anyway, it just looks fun. And then the first thing on clearance that I found, I'm actually going to give this as a gift to the sons of my brother's stepson, because we stayed with them. The little boys were just adorable, and I think they will love this book. Emily has this book, and she's just about shredded it. She's looked at it so much. And this is just a fun book. There is very little words in it. It's mostly about, it's just pictures of fruits and vegetables made into really fun things. So it's called Play Food, and it's great. It does have the author, or the person who put it together, is called Juiced Elfers. So super fun. It was $2, and this will be a great gift for them. And then I also ran across these on the clearance rack, and this is, I believe, books 1 and 2 of the Gallagher Girls series. Really nice hardcover books. The first book is Don't Judge a Girl by Her Cover, and then Cross My Heart and Hope to Spy. At first, when I got these, I was thinking I would give these to our bookstore owner's daughter, because she has a copy of book 2 that she found randomly in the store and thought it looked good, and I said, oh, I've read those. That's really good, but you want to read book 1 first. So I was thinking that these two were not, that neither of these were the same one she had, but it was. So I decided to go ahead and keep these together, because since my trip, since coming back, I've been to another library book sale, and I found a copy of book 1 in softcover. So it matches the one she already has, and I gave her that one yesterday. So I'm going to keep these at that same sale where I just went, or maybe it was a Second and Charles nearby. I found book 6. So maybe I'll just continue to gradually collect this whole series for me, because it's such a great series. So now I have 1, 2, and 6 that I'll hang on to for now. Then I also found, I guess this was also clearance, this I think is book, I don't know if this is book 2 or 3 in the Herdman series by Barbara Robinson. It's one of the sequels to the Best Worst Christmas Pageant Ever, I think is something like that. Anyway, this is the Best Worst School Year Ever, and this is such a great trilogy. I love it so much. And I was most thrilled to find this one. This is Finding Father Christmas by Robin Jones Gunn. I have had my eyes out for this for a couple of years now. I had one of them. It's a trilogy. I had one of them, and then one of my subscribers, Melinda from Two Boys Scrappin', sent me one. And so I had books 2 and 3, and I wasn't going to read it until I had book 1, and now I finally have book 1, so I can possibly read it this Christmas. At least get started on the trilogy. So Finding Father Christmas by Robin Jones Gunn. And also, when I was back in the back at the clearance, I ran across this Signet Regency Romance. This one is by Allison Lane, Birds of a Feather. It was $1. And so I sent an email and a photo of it to Steve Donahue. And I said, do you have this one? Because I knew he is wanting to collect all of these Signet Regency romances. And I went ahead and bought it, even though I got an email from him probably within the amount of time. I was there 2.5 hours. He probably did answer me right back. I just forgot to go back and check. He did say he already had it, so he didn't need this one, but it was fine. I didn't mind buying it. I might read it. I might sell it. I don't know. But for $1. It was not a bad investment. And then I found a book for my sister. I gave her books 1 and 2 of this series while I was on my trip. And then I found book 3. This is Falling for You Again by Catherine Palmer and Gary Chapman. So I'm going to send her this as a thank you gift. Charlotte, if you're watching this, if you're seeing this video before you get it, surprise, I'm sending you this book. And then because I had not added to my collection of Barbara books in a while, I thought I would go ahead and pick this one up. I paid $3.75. Yeah, $3.75 for this one. This is 7 Brides for 7 Mail Order Husbands. I thought that was kind of an interesting twist on the whole mail order spouse thing. It says, a newspaper ad for husbands brings a wave of men to a small Kansas town. That sounds fun. And it's got a variety of authors, Cynthia Hickey, Susan Page Davis, and several more. So I have a whole collection of these Barbara books. They are just beautiful. I have finally, a couple of years ago, read one of them. I did a buddy read with Bobby Sue Davis, I think. I follow her on Instagram, and we buddy read one, and I need to get around to reading some more of these because these are really cool. And that's all that I got at 2nd and Charles. All right, we are in Columbia, South Carolina. We just left 2nd and Charles. We spent about 2.5 hours there, and now we have come down the road to the book dispensary. About to go in. Outside, they have a sign that says, reading can seriously damage your ignorance. And I asked about several things. The gentleman there was very helpful, and I don't think I filmed any footage there. He was very helpful, and, you know, everything, by this point, you know, I have shopped, you know, at 20 some odd places, and I have filled in so many books in my collection that I needed that there really just wasn't a lot more that I was looking for. But everything I would ask, you know, about, they didn't have. And he's like, well, what else can I disappoint you with today? And I did finally settle on a book I decided to get for my nephew's daughter. And I got this copy of Wayside School is Falling Down by Louis Sachar. And then we later on that day in Georgia, I found the sequel to it, or one of the sequels. There is at least 3 in this series, but I picked up Wayside School Gets a Little Stranger, so I'm going to send her both of those whenever I send them a thank you gift. So at that same store, I think I also picked this up. I might have not. I don't remember, honestly, where I got this, and it could have been there as well as anywhere. But this is one of the books that I got home and realized I do already have this one. I think it's possible I'm still missing one from the series, but it wasn't this one. Anyway, this is a series called The Days of Laura Ingalls Wilder. This is book 6 called Mountain Miracle. They're by T.L. Tedrow, published by Guidepost. And if you recall earlier, I showed you a box that had originally been a box for a box set from this series. And I have not read any of these. One of these days for a Little House Readathon, I'm going to need to pick up one of these and read it. Okay, then there was also a bin of books by the checkout that Emily noticed, and there were some books that were kind of banged up and not really worth selling, and so they were free, and Emily picked out 2. She got Donald Duck's Bad Day, and this one's actually not in that bad a shape. I mean, it's a little rough, but it's not horrible. And then I think she got this one there, Garfield, The Knight in Shining Armor, and it is, you know, not in great shape. But anyway, you know, she added to her collection there with characters that she likes. And so then we headed on down the road, and when we got into Savannah, Georgia, I was really working hard, driving hard to get to one more bookstore, and I wanted to get there before they closed. I had already searched ahead, and I knew that it was on the route. I called ahead to make sure they were there. It's the Bookstore on the Hill, or Bookshop on the Hill, and it is outside of Savannah, Georgia. So I did film there some because, again, this is one of the coolest bookstores I've ever been to. They had different themed rooms, but what really got me, they really had me at the wardrobe into Narnia. So let me show you the footage from that store, and then I'll come back and show you what I bought. Okay, this may be the last bookstore on my trip. We are in Savannah, Georgia, and I can't say Savannah without saying, have you ever? Anyway, we are at the bookstore on the hill, and I have already been inside and shopped, and I am going to take you inside and show you this amazing and cool store. Okay, so at this point, you know, it looks like a normal bookstore, okay? But just wait. Oh my goodness. Right here. Here is the wardrobe going into Narnia. Oh my goodness. And she said each room has a theme. I didn't even really get to see all of them. We got here like a half an hour before closing, and now it's about 2 minutes before closing. So I don't have much time. Carrington the Kangaroo visits a farm, it says. So this is this room. And I found a Little House book here, and I don't think I have one of the Martha, Charlotte, and Caroline years. I can't even remember what now. I just grabbed it and kept looking. Oh, here's the kids' room. I haven't even been in here. I also found, oh my goodness, it's a Hobbit hole. So cute. Anyway, I found some love-inspired suspense canine romances that I've been having a hard time finding. And, I mean, I was just excited about that alone. I got one other book, but I can't even remember now what it was. But anyway, this one says Frodo. So I guess, oh, this is the other side of the Hobbit door. So this is Frodo's room. And then there's a Harry Potter room somewhere. Oh, right here. With the letters coming down the fireplace. And there's like a letter here that's addressed to the bookstore on the hill. So it like came here to them, I guess, down the fireplace. Or maybe it's just made up, you know, it's part of their whatever. Anyway, it's part of the fun. So I didn't get a chance to look at everything. There's Emily. She's got my purchases waiting to go. I let her wear my book sale shirt today because she didn't have another clean one in the suitcase this morning. So I said, well, we're going book shopping anyway. I am currently wearing my new Buc-ee's t-shirt. But I'm not going to show you that because I am currently not really camera ready. Anyway, this is such a cool store, Savannah, Georgia. If you find yourself in this area, you definitely need to come by. I only got to stay here about half an hour because they were about a half an hour from closing at the point that I got here. So I really had to hurry, but I found some great stuff there. I did find a Martha book that I did not have. This is Down to the Bonnie Glen. I think this is book 2 in the Martha series. And then I think this is the only one I was missing from the Scrapbook Mysteries by Laura Child. And I've been collecting these in hardcover. This is Skeleton Letters. I think this is book 9 or 10. And I may be still missing the very newest one, but I've got most of them now, and I was excited to find that one. And then they had several books from the Canine Mystery series, and they had some of the older ones that most bookstores don't keep after they age, you know, past like 3 years. A lot of bookstores just weed them out, and I found some. So I was really thrilled to find 2 from the Capital Canine Unit series. I'm not sure what numbers these are, but there were 2 that I didn't have. One is Duty Bound Guardian by Terry Reid, and the other one is Security Breach by Margaret Daly. This may be all, I'm trying to remember if I still need one more from these or if this is it. I'm still missing 1 or 2 from the Texas Canine series, and I think I found one of them somewhere too. I'm not sure. And then I found, I think, I'm not sure if this is the last one I still needed for the Brooklyn True Blue Canine Unit, but I did not have this one, Chasing Secrets by Heather Woodhaven. And then I also picked this one up because it also involved a dog. I don't think this is part of a series, though. This is called Tracing a Fugitive by Hope White. So I was really excited to get all of those. And wasn't that footage neat? The wardrobe into Narnia was fantastic. They had a Harry Potter room, and they had other themes for different rooms, but I didn't have time to explore a lot. I wish that I had had more time, and it's definitely a store I would go back to if given the opportunity. So that was almost the last of my book shopping, but when we left there, we did go to a nearby Dollar Tree. I didn't find any books there, but they do have books, and also it was either a Goodwill or a Salvation Army. I think it was a Goodwill, and I found the other Wayside School book that I already mentioned, and then Emily picked up a book called The Flower Prowler, just a little Minnie Mouse book. And I feel like we got something else there, but I don't remember what it was. That may have been it. Anyway, then we got some dinner, and then we headed on down the road. Our last stop was at Buc-ee's in St. Augustine, and we elected not to buy a shirt there because I had already spent probably over $300 on books, and we were just about worn out at that point. So we made a stop, got something to drink, and then got back in the car and made it home by 1:30 a.m. on April the 18th. Now, before I go, I said I would show you a few books that I bought on the trip that I really can't remember specifically which store I bought them at. And let me just show you those real quick. Most of them are the love-inspired suspense books. There's one Harlequin Intrigue and then one other Christian fiction book. So I did finish up getting all of the Alaska Canine Unit series. Undercover Mission by Sharon Dunn is one of the ones I picked up. And then Alaskan Avalanche Escape by Darlene L. Turner is from the Canine Search and Rescue series. And then I may have picked up 2 copies of this one. Cold Case Pursuit by Dana Mentink is one of the True Blue Canine Unit Brooklyn series. And then another one of the Alaska Canine Unit is Tracking Stolen Secrets by Laura Scott. And then I did get one more of the Kavanaugh books by Marie Ferrarella. This is a Harlequin Intrigue. It's called Kavanaugh Standoff. And then one book I think I got early in the trip, and for the life of me, I cannot remember exactly where I picked it up, but it's by Melody Carlson. She's probably my most bought author for this trip, and this may also be a YA book because it's from the Faith Girls series. It says it's book 1 of the Girls of Harborview series, and it's called Girl Power. And let me see, it says including Girl Power and Mystery Bus. So I'm not sure what that is. So these are the books that I got that I can't remember exactly where I got them, but just wanted to finish up by showing you all of the books that I bought on this trip. So that is our trip in a nutshell. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've made it all the way through, then put an emoji in the comments of a car, and then I'll know that you stuck with me all the way through this video. If you didn't, then you're not here, or if you skipped around and you made it to the end, thank you for watching any part of this video. I appreciate it so much. And I will have another book haul video coming soon because I have already shopped for books at my local library. I've already made a trip to Gainesville, Florida, to what is probably the largest library book sale in the state of Florida. And then coming up in another week or so, I will be going to the library book sale, the quarterly library book sale at my local library. So if I don't show you a book haul before then, I'll include that in a book haul video as well. So I've got some other videos I need to do in addition, like my May TBR and things like that. But for now, I wanted to get this done so that I can start getting these books put away. And that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.